27-yard line. Warner to throw. Going deep downfield, adjusting for it is Isaac Bruce. And Isaac Bruce threads his way for a touchdown. 73 yards.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. And happy anniversary to Isaac Bruce and Mike Jones 24 years ago today at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. The only Super Bowl that St. Louis ever won or ever will win, won by the St. Louis Rams over the Tennessee Titans. It's great to have you with us at 7 o'clock, 7:01. Now your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. The now depressed Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Randy Fairford. Great to have you with us. Good morning, kids. How
I'm not depressed. Randy, you know, I appreciate that just specific era of football so much. That's what got me into sports, is watching the Music City Miracle, all that play out. Steve McNair is one of my favorite players of all time. And then seeing the other side of it, the greatest show on turf. That is one of the best offenses I think we have ever seen, honestly. And I have so much respect for, Isaac Bruce, meeting him. He does so much here in the St. Louis community. That is just such a great group of guys.
Let me guess, we're going to Mike Jones on?
Mike Jones with the tackle.
Who?
He's coming up at 9:30 later on. Looking forward
Randy?
to.
Who?
Mike Jones, the tackle. Oh, okay. We would love to have.
I had to get you back for yesterday, Randy.
Okay.
Who? Mike Jones. There you go.
Mike Jones. Mike Jones, Mike the Tackle Jones, is going to join us at 9:30. John Kelly is going to be with us at 8:15 as the Blues get ready to take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. You know what, guys? This is a game the Blues should win tonight.
I think they have to win going into the break. I think this is a game that when you go into the break, and unfortunately, in my opinion, the break comes at a bad time for the Blues. Mm-hmm. But if I'm the coaching staff, I say, guys, you cannot look past this game. You have to win this game. Columbus is not very good. They're without one of their top players. And you come into this game at home and you say, we have to win this game. Yeah. I think it's a must-win game. I really do. I know that's crazy to say that middle of the season, but I think it's a very important game.
Because you want to see them continue to build off this win streak, right? For them to get to this point of winning 5 games in a row, and then you're going into the break, this is just a really crucial and pivotal moment, as you're mentioning, Dan.
And we're getting close to the final countdown. I know it's only January. It'll be February in a couple of days. But February a couple of years ago is when the Blues either made or broke themselves, right? When they had the 11-game winning streak. And you can get yourself knocked out of the playoffs in February, too. So I don't disagree with that, Dan. I think the Blues need to be within striking distance, and that would be 2 or 3 points of a playoff spot by the time we get to mid-March.
And the Kings aren't playing well.
No.
So you get a little separation there. I just think tonight's a very important game. Don't look ahead to the break, and make sure you take care of business at home.
And by the way, tomorrow, the last game before the All-Star break, and tomorrow, Robbie Tommy is going to join us before he heads to Toronto.
I heard he does not like Robbie Tommy. I really did hear that.
You heard that through the grapevine?
I heard another one. What's the other one that he didn't like that I asked him? I said,
we asked him about Bobby Tommy, which he did not like, which makes me think he does not like the Robert to Bobby transition. But I don't know. But
I thought he likes the Robbie.
He does. I heard he likes Robbie. No. I don't know if he likes us calling him Robbie, and I don't know if he likes us calling it Tommy.
Well, I'm not going to call him Tomer. So we're going to have
is his team nickname, unfortunately.
I know.
But they also call him Robbie, right?
Yeah.
I just heard through the grapevine he doesn't like it.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So that's why I stay on the outside looking in, because I don't want to upset Robbie Tommy. I don't want to see. I just said it. So I don't want to upset Robert Thomas. I don't want to do that.
No, I don't. He's always jovial and cordial whenever I run into him. He's great.
So what do we call him? We just call him Robert.
Robert. Come on, that's kind of boring. That's like Randall Gritchick when he was here. That's the reason Randall Gritchick never made it, is because he didn't go with Randy. Randy, yes, he got a $51 million
I call you Randall.
I know you do, but Randall is stuffy. Randy is fun. Randy
Casual.
is... So here's the thing. Randall is like Biff or Tad at the club. Oh, I'm going to go play with Biff. I'm going to go have
I don't do it that way, though.
With Biff or Tad.
I don't think of it that way. Mine is just, hey, Randall.
You do it in a fun, engaging way. But I look at it as Biff and Tad at the club wearing their tuxedo. I wear a tuxedo T-shirt at the front row of a Leonard Skinner concert.
Now you have just offended all the Biffs, Tads, Thads, all of them.
Randalls.
Randall's.
Yeah. But no, Randy is looser and more fun.
Casual.
Casual.
Fun,
There
hip.
you go. Yeah, so if you are somebody that goes by Randall Gritchick, and I worked with him, I got him a tuxedo T-shirt. But it never worked for him. If he would have gone by Randy Gritchick, he'd be right there with the guy that he got drafted ahead of.
Can I interject?
Yes,
just
you
wait.
may. Yeah.
Sure.
Wait a minute. What did you get him?
A tuxedo T-shirt.
When did that happen?
When he was here.
Did he want the tuxedo T-shirt?
I don't know, but I had told him, I said, look, I said, the Randall thing just doesn't work. I said, you got to loosen up.
You did not do this.
I did.
You went down to the clubhouse and did it.
Yeah, he wore it for
Really?
a while. He wore it for a day.
Interesting. I didn't know that fun tidbit.
Yeah.
So this was an
Interesting.
actual conversation about his name. You wanted him to go by Randy.
We had it a couple times on the air because I said, hey, look, I have Randall. I have a good time. And my real given name is Randall. I go by Randy. I have a good time. I'm loose, no stress. I said, I know that if I went by Randall, I would be stressed and I would be up at the plate. I just wouldn't be able to do what I'm capable of doing. And he said,
Whether you're Randy or Randall, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing.
True.
I'm just saying.
And he gave me the no.
Yeah.
And so I got the tuxedo T-shirt on Amazon and presented it to him, and he laughed and was thankful. But he didn't wear it enough to start hitting, I'll tell you that.
No, and he was, as you said, Mike Trout was right there in the draft with him.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Drafted ahead of Mike Trout.
We got a text from the 314. Robert is an awesome name. No need to create a nickname. Signed, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah.
The Roberts have spoken, Randy.
Yeah,
We have to
okay.
take that into account.
Yeah.
That guy's Bobby now.
Yeah, we're going to hear from some of the excerpts from the Oli Marmol interview that Oli did with our friend of the show, Xavier Scruggs. We're going to hear that at 8 o'clock. And Oli said that and Oli's told me, I'm sure he's told you, Dan, that he is as old school gets. It is nice to hear him echo some of the things that Joe Torre and Tony La Russa have said over the years, and that he really does concern himself with what a player is dealing with and what a player is capable of.
What would the mindset be with Joe Torre, Whitey, Tony La Russa, if they had analytics like today? Now, they had a version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm talking about this book before a series that is about an inch deep with all the analytics. What would we think of them? And what would the front offices do with them in terms of how much information is given, how much they take in? I think it's just a product of the times.
Well, it is, but would that wealth of information have caused Whitey to stop stealing bases?
No, but I also think that he had cachet, and Oli doesn't have that yet, so he's going to take some heat.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I always wondered about this. I'm going to ask an umpire about the rule here. So there's a 3-batter minimum in baseball, okay? You put a left-handed pitcher in, put him in right field for a hitter. Is he technically facing a batter because he's facing him in right field, or does he have to face the 3 batters as a pitcher?
As a pitcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but it makes, Whitey did that with Todd Worrell all the time, put him in the outfield. Yeah. Ricky Horton did it. Yeah, it's great strategy.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch.
Right. And so those are the thoughtful, creative things that I'm thinking. And putting Alan Craig in center field, you did the games when in Wrigley Field, putting Alan Craig of all people.
Yep.
But you can do that in Wrigley Field if you're confident in what your pitcher is going to do that day. And it actually worked out. The Cardinals wound up winning with, of all people, Alan Craig in center field.
And the percentages tell you, too, that he's probably not going to get the ball hit to him. I mean, it may happen, but, and then you hope he can make a catch.
Well, it's just what has happened now. That's the way that things are changing into. But I think we're almost seeing it turn back the other way in a lot of ways. Bruce Bochy, one of my favorite managers to watch this past season, the way that he was able to navigate things, he used his gut. But with that comes experience, it comes time, and that also allowing him to do that and get to that point.
He's got the resume to do it.
Exactly.
And some guys don't. And Oli is in year 3 coming up, and coming off of last season, there's a lot of heat on him. And so trying to do some of those things that you're talking about, Randy, I think it's a little tougher on him than maybe some of the other managers in the game.
Trading baseball last night, the Twins send a really good middle infielder, Jorge Polanco, to Seattle for 4 young players. They get Minnesota gets outfield prospect Gabriel Gonzalez, reliever Justin Topa, starter Anthony DeSclafani, who they got in the Robbie Ray trade with San Francisco, and minor leaguer Darren Bowen. So Jorge Polanco. And Seattle needs infielders. They get a guy that'll help them a lot.
I think Blake Snell could wind up with Seattle.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Seattle kid going back home, maybe not having to pay him like a normal Cy Young Award winner that's coming off that award, has won it a couple of times. It just seems to be the right fit.
It does. It makes a lot of sense as to how that would really play out there. And then the Cardinals also adding somebody last night, too.
Oh, yeah. They added Rivas, right? The first baseman from the Angels, and the long, illustrious, productive career of Moises Gomez ends as the Cardinals.
I wanted to see him.
I did, too.
Just
come on up and see if you can mash. I don't know.
It seems like they didn't have a place for him, and that's what's going on. Now, there's still a chance, of course, that he won't get claimed off waivers and that he could stay with the Cardinals. But at the same time, I think a lot of us were hoping to see that power that you just kept seeing over and over again. It's like, how many home runs has he hit the past 2 seasons? I mean, he seemed to have a lot of power. And I think just looking at social media yesterday, the reaction to it is like, uh-oh. Are we going to find ourselves in another situation where it's going to be a player who got away that we should have gotten an opportunity for?
Tampa Bay had a chance to keep him, too, and didn't bring him up. So there must be some situation where they look at the film, hear from the minor league staff, and they just say, this guy's prone to strike out, and we really don't have a position for him.
Yeah. Hey, did you guys, we're here at Hubbard Radio, and Hubbard Broadcasting is our company. Do you guys have the HSA, the health savings account? Thought it was really interesting that Joaquin Nielsen and Edward Leuven are leaving camp to get their green cards, and I guess that's for their benefit, so that they have the health savings account.
Who are you talking about?
St. Louis City SC. Okay. Joaquin Nielsen and Edward Leuven leaving the team. I don't know why HR just doesn't give them their health savings, but they're leaving the team so that they can get their green cards, so that they have their health savings.
I think it's a different green card.
Oh,
is the big one.
Yeah, this is a very important one to keep you here.
This is kind of like the American Express Black Card?
No.
Well, I mean,
but it's green.
It also opens up a lot of opportunities. Yes, you're right.
We're doing a read for American Express on the other side.
We're doing an American Express read right now.
Do you guys know if green cards are green?
I don't know.
God, these are some questions you have this morning, Randy.
Yeah, you're coming out of nowhere.
Is red tape red?
Is what?
Is red tape red?
There you go. Good question. They're having to deal with a lot of red tape. So anyway, we're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Daniel?
It's kind of greenish.
On a serious note, you know Mark Walsh, who has been a longtime Cardinal employee. He's been behind the scenes forever, and he is part of the staff that helps out the St. Louis Cardinals. His brother passed away, and I just wanted to throw that out there, Tom Walsh. So, Walshy, we're thinking about you this morning. He has had a direct effect on many charities here in town with donations and things that he helps out with. Always helps us out, Randy and Brooke. And if you're around the Cardinals, you know Mark Walsh. He's been there for decades. So, Walshy, we're thinking about you and your family this morning.
Absolutely. One of the great people and great families in Walshy. We are thinking of you. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up as we get ready for spring training, and we're just a couple of weeks away now. Who's one player that was moved that you wish the Cardinals would have gotten this offseason? Now, I'm not going to say Dylan Cease because he didn't get moved, but a player that went to another team that you say, man, I wish the Cardinals would have gotten him. We'll take your text, we'll take your mic drops as we go along during the show, but we're going to give you ours next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, there's a cool event coming up this weekend at Union Station. It's St. Louis Food and Wine, and it's presented by Schnucks. It's at Union Station, and all you need to do is go to schnucks.com/STL Food and Wine to get your tickets. Now, It features hundreds of wines, a selection of craft beers, and culinary delights around every corner. It's the can't-miss event of the year. On Friday, you'll be able to go to the grand tasting event from 7 to 10 and spend your evening sampling exceptional vintages from prominent domestic and international vintners. And you can feast on gourmet food in the beautifully designed Grand Hall at Union Station. And then on Saturday, between noon and 5 p.m., it's the main tasting event. You can enjoy a full day of sampling hundreds of wines and a variety of gourmet food offerings. Experience the wine tastings from the world's premier growing regions. And again, a commemorative wine glass is included. It's this coming Friday and Saturday, February 2nd to Saturday, February 3rd at Union Station. St. Louis Food and Wine, presented by Schnucks. The website for more information, schnucks.com/STL Food Wine, presented by Schnucks. Grimsley, Danny Mack, Randy Carricker, the opening drive, 101 ESPN in St. Louis. Coming up, we're going to give you a little bit of information and opinion about the great scene on Sunday in Baltimore. But right now, what player that the Cardinals didn't get that somebody else did would you have liked to have seen the Cardinals acquire?
And this is money is no option?
Money is not an object. Like Shohei, I'm going to be realistic
so take
with
Shohei
mine.
out of it.
Yeah, I'm going to be realistic with mine. So,
okay.
Yeah, within the somewhat budget confines of the St. Louis Cardinals. So yeah, you can go to a reasonable spot if you want to.
Okay.
All right, Brooke, who you got?
Mine is going to be the reliever who ranked in the top 10% of the league of chase percentage, whiff percentage, strikeout percentage, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, and somebody that I felt like would have been a really good fit for this Cardinals bullpen. I'm going to go with Josh Hader. I think that Josh Hader would have
you
been.
just took mine,
I'm
Brooke.
so sorry, Dan. Well, hey, great minds think alike.
I've got others too.
Okay, you got some others,
Yeah.
but I'm sure this was your line of thinking as well, because I believe that adding him to the Cardinals bullpen alongside Ryan Helsley and Giovanni Gallegos would have really just bolstered the entire pitching staff. I don't have to mention the age here, but I think we are all very well of the starting rotation and their seasoned and their experience, as I mentioned before. I think that he would have been a great addition, and he's arguably one of the best closers in baseball, especially over the last few years. I think with Ryan Helsley, too, of course, he was great last season, but the biggest thing is his availability. We know his injury history is something, and his durability is something you have to look at going into the season. And Giovanni Gallegos kind of scuffling a little bit last year. I just feel like Josh Hader would have fit in really well and would have made me feel a little bit better about this bullpen going to the season.
Yeah, 33 saves, a 1.28 ERA. I would have loved to have seen Josh Hader here in St. Louis, and I was saying that from day one, even though he got, roughly $100 million. So takes them out of that equation. Hector Neris would have been my guy, 1.71 ERA and 71 appearances. And now that he goes to the Cubs, makes it even more so that I'd like to see Hector Neris in St. Louis. Craig Kimball was on my list. He was a guy that I thought was reasonable. Aroldis Chapman was another one. If it didn't work out, you could flip him potentially, and I thought that would be someone, even though he did have a lack of command. He struck out 103 in 58 in a third. And I'll throw another one that kind of flew under the radar recently was Adam Ottavino, who just signed with the Mets. So that's just a group of guys, but you can tell my pattern here is to go bullpen.
Yeah. And guys, the guy that I would have liked to have had sat in free agency for a long time, and you know that I want that guy to start game one of a playoff series, it was Aaron Nola. And if I could have had the Cardinals get him to start game one of the season and game one of a playoff series, he is within that age. He's 30. He's not in that 34, 35, 36-year-old age range, 37, that they signed. I would have liked to have had a guy that's shown the durability that he has and shown the playoff chops that he has over the years.
Let me counter that, though. What would you have thought, because you would have had to sign him probably to a 7 or 8 year deal to leave where he was. What would you have thought of the back end of that contract, or do you even care?
At this point, I think the Cardinals should be playing with a level of desperation. So I'm looking at the first 3 or 4 years of that contract, and I'm not really worried about the back end.
And that's fair, because Goldie and Arenado are, they're on the backside of their careers, and you want to get the most out of having those cornerstone guys. So that makes some sense.
Yeah.
So what would your starting rotation look like with him in it?
Well, you sign him before you sign the other guy, so you probably don't have Sonny Gray. So if Nola is the guy, and this is all hypothetical because apparently he wanted to stay in Philly. He loves it there, right? But I wouldn't have minded getting Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and then working with the rest of what I have with Michaelis and Thompson and Matz and hopefully Graceffo and McGreevy. I wouldn't have minded having that because I feel and the fact of the matter is most free agent pitchers wind up getting hurt, so he probably would have. But that's what I would have thought could have gotten 32 starts and 200 innings out of Aaron Nola.
What about Jordan Montgomery? I know that he hasn't signed with the team yet, but I think we all are pretty aware that he will likely go to the Rangers once everything gets sorted out with Bally's and Amazon and everything like that. What about Jordan Montgomery?
I don't know if Jordan Montgomery fits here. He fits in Texas because Bochy and Maddox are different, right? They're more old school, and he wants to be more old school. I think he was treated, and we're going to hear from Oli talking about being non-analytical. I thought that Jordan Montgomery was handled in a very analytical way. They never allowed him to get in enough trouble to get out of trouble.
You could say that about Michael. You could say that there's instances every night that you could.
Yeah.
But
and I know that's where baseball is right now, but for me, Montgomery is a guy that you need to give him the opportunity to deal with some adversity.
Would it shock you guys that the Cardinals were the third most in terms of leaving their starters in or leaving a bullpen guy in after one inning? Third best, if you want to look at it that way. Third most, third best, whatever. I found that the most shocking stat that I heard this offseason and looked up.
It's amazing. And one of the things that you run into as an organization, and maybe this is a reason, well, probably not, that a guy like Snell or Montgomery, who are Boris clients that aren't out there, but those guys in their free agent year, if you throw them 120 pitches, you're getting a call from Scott Boras saying, hey, don't throw my guy 120 pitches. He's going into free agency. I don't want him to go more than 100. And I have to believe that that's probably one of the, if not spoken, unspoken rules with Scott Boras clients is that you protect their health by not throwing them more than he wants them thrown.
Well, Dan, and with what you just said right there, it makes me think even more so that you do have to really prioritize the bullpen. Of course, you have to go out and get starting pitching, but when you hear that, you said third most in baseball?
So they would, so let's say a reliever would go 10 or 11 pitches, and you say, and a lot of times analytics will say, get him out of there, or a starter that would go more than 2 times through a lineup. The Cardinals were the third most in doing that, in extending.
Because you stay in your little bubble, so you don't even think about that.
Yeah.
But that shows a really big trend in baseball, and that just shows, I think, even more so the importance of bullpen and having a really good bullpen.
But it also goes back to, is Oli just strictly analytics? And I think the answer would be no on that. I do think he plays his gut. I think, though, it's a totally different set of circumstances than what we are accustomed to with championship baseball here in St. Louis. And that is just where the game is going, right or wrong.
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the things, and this is one of the reasons that you have the 3 starting pitchers that you signed over the offseason, is because even though the Cardinals had that statistic, and even though they're in the middle of the pack in terms of innings pitched for their starting rotation, they they already had a bad bullpen. But you can't, if you have a good bullpen, you can't gas it in the first half. And I think that's one of the things that rotation last year with Flaherty and the way Mike Liss was pitching and Waino wasn't there and Montgomery. Who else did they have? There was somebody else that didn't give innings on a regular basis last year. And you need to be able to protect that bullpen. Maybe this bullpen will be better and you don't need to protect it as much.
29 times the starter threw 100 pitches or more. That is it for the Cardinals last year, to prove your point, Randy. So you had to get innings. You had to get outs out of your bullpen. The bullpen 24th in ERA, 29th in strikeout rate. Now, that is the interesting thing to me when they wanted more swing and miss. And it's not to say you got a ton of it in your bullpen. So that's something to keep an eye on as they move forward this season.
The bullpen, I feel, I just wish that they would at least have one other arm in there. I know Phil Maton, we've talked about that name a lot. He's still out there. And we talked about Josh Hader. We talked about some of the other relievers that are still out there on the market. But if you guys could right now, and not saying the Cardinals are completely done, but would you want another reliever with this bullpen?
Absolutely. Phil Maton would be the one I look at.
He takes the ball, too.
He's one of 10 pitchers to work 200 or more games the past 3 years. So, to your point, Randy, he takes the ball. And each year his curveball rate has risen 40% last year. And he just seems to fit the profile of maybe what the Cardinals need. Kind of like this Chris Stratton guy, but maybe even a little bit better in what the stuff is, but a guy that you can count on every single day to take the ball.
And maybe the fact that he has taken the ball 135 times over the last 2 years is the reason that he isn't an Astro.
Exactly.
Because
they know.
Yeah.
They've worn him out maybe, and they saw some signs of wearing down at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And he's 30 years old. He seems like he would be within their price range, and it goes with their theme of possibly little to no risk but high reward. Another follow-up question for you guys, is that something that you wish was a little bit different this offseason? Because we talked about theoretically the players that you wish they would have gotten. The price range, when you look at that, especially with Josh Hader and the Astros, I mean, almost $100 million for that deal. We know that that's outside of the norm of what the Cardinals typically do with free agency and people who aren't a part of the Cardinals way, essentially. But is that something that you wish that was a little bit different this offseason? Because I was thinking about that last night, is that they still kind of stayed in that same vein of little to no risk and hoping for a high reward there.
Right. And Kittredge, he's a gamble, even though you come off of Tommy John. It's not as severe as it once was.
Calculated gamble that may work.
Yeah. And he's got great stuff, and he's been on a winner. But the more winning experience I can have in my bullpen, I'll take it. I want it.
Yeah. And that costs money.
Well, Maton is one of those guys, though.
I also say on the flip side, though, you have some young kids coming. And that's something to keep in mind, too, is that there's a handful of guys, and maybe one of these guys takes the next step. Excuse you, Randy, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just coughing.
Okay. And I didn't know if you're getting emotional over this whole thing.
I am.
He's getting choked up.
Just choked up over the whole bullpen conversation.
Thinking, okay, would I, and this is no affront to Gio Gallegos, who loves Ted Drewes, but would I rather have Gio Gallegos or Phil Maton? I think I'd rather have Phil Maton.
I'd like both.
It'd be nice to have both. Yeah,
both would be great.
Yeah. And you don't have to make that choice because you had Gallegos under contract, but that's a point to be made. Would you like to have that winning experience for August, September, because it is a different sport, and October?
Can I go outside the box here?
Yeah, sure.
How come we don't talk enough about the Gallegos deal? That turned out to be a really good deal.
Yeah.
That, you always look at Arenado, you look at Goldie, you look at some of the other ones that didn't work out, and there's a handful there too. But that's one that flies under the radar that no one talks about. Was a really good deal.
And Dan, remember how bad people thought it was because it was Luke Voigt?
Exactly.
And
then he goes out and wins a home run title too.
Yeah, right.
But now that was the shortened season, I believe, the 2020 season.
Yeah.
However, here you got a guy that's been here 5 years, coming up on 5 years in Gallegos, reliable reliever. You can use him in the back end, get you some saves. And I do think he's going to be better this year. Trying to predict what happens in a bullpen outside of a guy like Josh Hader, who you think is going to get his fair share of saves and be nasty, it's really tough to predict. It's just hard. It's the hardest thing to do.
Yep. Coming up here on 101 ESPN on this anniversary of Super Bowl 34 and Isaac Bruce's touchdown and the tackle. Did we see the greatest moment in NFL history Sunday? We'll talk about it next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke for Universal Windows Direct. I don't have to tell you because you know right now it is cold outside, but where you shouldn't be feeling that cold and drafty air is inside your home. So call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct to avoid the cold. Now you may be wondering, do windows really make that big of a difference? Here's the thing, yes they can. Universal's windows, they have this incredible technology developed by NASA called Super Spacer. It helps keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, and makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other Windows systems. So you get the best windows for your home within your budget, and they perform better and last longer. Call and schedule your free in-home estimate today. And for every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 for free, plus a free upgrade to triple pane glass. Tell them that Brooke sent you, and you get an additional $250 off your next project. So for the last windows you'll ever need, go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues back in action tonight, facing off against the Blue Jackets. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop down at Enterprise. You can catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6 p.m. Also in action tonight, local college basketball as the now number 14 ranked Fighting Illini face off against Ohio State. It's a 6 p.m. tip-off. And St. Louis Billikens travel up to face off against Loyola Chicago for a 7 p.m. tip-off on ESPN+. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
With Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Carricker, and Danny Mac is a connoisseur of all things adorbs. And sure, you had the spectacular Patrick Mahomes leading the Chiefs to the Super Bowl for the 4th time in 5 years on Sunday. Sure, you had Mr. Irrelevant, the Brock Purdy leading the 49ers with a great comeback to the Super Bowl. But we had, after the AFC Championship game, Taylor Swift planting a big smooch on Travis Kelce. And we have video evidence. We have photographic evidence. And, Dan, I have to believe that this is one of the all-time adorbs moments for you.
Adorable. It's absolutely adorable. Am I the only one that doesn't care about this? I think it's good for the NFL, good for them. I don't care. Have at it.
I like it. I do care about it, but I like it. And I'm still waiting for the people that were complaining when the Chiefs were 8-6 about Taylor Swift being to blame. I wonder what they're saying now, because if she was to blame, then now they're in the Super Bowl. She is the reason. Right?
She's a good luck charm at this point. And I think that I'm sorry, I keep laughing at the segment name, and because this is how he put it for the segment. This is how Randy wrote it out. How adorbs was the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift kiss on the field? The cutest thing ever. Randy, it's totes my goat. So cute. I have to agree with you there.
It's got to be great for the NFL.
It is. Well, and here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but Apex Marketing, they put out that Taylor Swift has generated an equivalent brand value of $331.5 million for the Chiefs and the NFL. That includes print, digital, radio, TV highlights, and social media going back to Taylor Swift's first game back in September.
So we'll get texts about this, and you can text in. You can send us a mic drop. If you don't like it, if it bothers you, why? Why are you mad about something like this?
I could see where some people
Matthew's got an answer. Go ahead,
would
Dan.
say that, you know what, leave them be. I can see some people say, let them live their lives a little bit. Now, on the flip side, they've lived their lives in public, so that's part of the deal. I kind of felt bad for her when they had the camera on her, and she said, paraphrasing, get that thing off me. I don't know if you saw that, let her enjoy the game. But I don't know.
Did you guys think that the reaction to Giselle was similar when Giselle and Brady were either dating or married?
No.
I didn't think so either.
No.
So, and by the way, Jessica Simpson did get the same treatment when she was dating Tony Romo, but he never took his team to the Super Bowl either.
Well, I felt like the conversation around Jessica Simpson was that she was like a curse around it.
Because they went to Cabo, right, but during the bye week, and that didn't help her either.
No.
So Matthew was raising his hand over here as to why people might hate this.
It's because they're unhappy.
Oh,
in general in their lives.
They hate their life.
Yeah, and Travis and
so
Taylor
they see young love and they just go, oh my God. Like, football is their escape from many things, including having to see other people happy.
Okay.
She really didn't have that much airtime this last week. And Dan, as you mentioned, she kind of wanted the cameras to get away. Here's the thing is that no matter what she does, whether she's dating Travis Kelce or she's just going to the grocery store, there's going to be a million cameras on her. So that's just part of it because she's one of the biggest stars right now. And I understand some people and kind of the line of thinking of it's not that big of a deal, like you're saying, Dan. The part that I guess that I personally just have an issue with is where I see people just take it too far or where they make it too personal. Like, I don't know if you saw this past weekend that there was these images that came out of Taylor Swift that somebody made on AI, kind of poking fun at her and fans. I can't say it on here on the radio, but you can go look up there. It is bad, and that is terrible. And people who just say, well, I hate her, I don't want to see her. Okay, that's your personal preference. My whole thing is that Taylor won't hear any of your complaints, but if you are making it kind of personal about her and that she's ruining football and blah, blah, all this stuff, I think about the women in your life or your daughters or something like that. Taylor won't hear it, but they will. And if you are using as a way, I don't want her on my TV for this during the football game as distraction. She was barely on TV.
24
this past
seconds,
weekend.
I think, in the divisional round, a 3 hour and 45-minute telecast, and she was on for 24 seconds.
Do you guys wait, though, when Kelce makes a catch, and he had a bunch of them this weekend, where you go, okay, where's the shot of Taylor Swift?
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
I am. And that's good TV. It's smart on the part of the television.
They show family members.
Absolutely.
For the same things.
So a couple of texts. This one, this is from the 314.
Wow,
it bothers me because I started a new job in September, too, and I haven't generated $330 million yet.
What do you think the NFL offices are saying? And if they say to CBS, NBC, ESPN, they say, if there is somebody... And maybe they don't say anything because the people that are running these games and the producers and the directors are the best in the world at what they do. But do they say a little bit like, hey, if she's there, go ahead and not exploit it, but use it to your advantage. Use it to our advantage. And I wonder if there is a correlation to people that wanted to see her and now become a little bit of football fans, maybe more than a casual fan. I do wonder about that. It may be just a little bit, but there might be some.
Yeah. And it all comes back. Just follow the money, right? Just what works for them. And yeah, I think that makes sense. If you want ratings, I mean, you've got an audience that you didn't have in August, right? That's watching football now for one specific reason. If you can get those eyes on your product, ultimately you can sell it.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. Even if it's just a little bit, that's always a good thing. It's not, you can't gatekeep the NFL. Right? Because it's one of the best things to watch out there. Obviously, we saw the TV ratings that came out. What was it for the 49ers and Lions? I think it was like 56 million viewers or something like that. Or might have been more than
56,
that. Was it 56 million? I mean, that's a good thing. You want as many viewers as possible. And Taylor Swift wasn't even a part of that game. But at the same time, like I do understand where maybe some people don't want their pop culture mixing in. But it's kind of a cute and funny story. Now, one of my favorite things that I've seen on social media, we got some texts in about this as well, is the conspiracy theory that the NFL is scripted, and this is why the Chiefs made it, is because they want more Taylor Swift.
Oh, here we go with
Do
Randall.
you guys buy into that?
Well, in their own commercial at the beginning of the season, they talked about writing Patrick Mahomes out of the script, and he said, "I'm right here." So clearly, the script writer, and I think that was Keegan-Michael Key, was it not, that was leading the script writing? He was able to put Patrick Mahomes back in with a little twist.
It is the best reality TV going right now.
is.
I mean, whether you love the NFL or hate them, I hate the business side of it, but the product that's on the field is second to none.
Yeah.
It really is.
We get another one, this one from the 314. Randy, I'm mad because it's good for the NFL. Obviously, LOL. Taylor's putting money in Kroenke's pocket. The same reason you don't purchase a jersey, sir. She is putting money in his pocket, but hopefully she's getting something out of this, too. Well, she is. I mean,
She's getting love, right?
love, right. What could be better than that?
This is from the 636. Do you guys think there's one camera dedicated to just being on her during the game? Yes.
Yes.
But here's the thing. They have to find her because the TV people don't know what suite she's going to be in before the game starts. So they have to find her. They have to find the lighting. So you see in games sometimes where you'll see the suite, but it's really dark because they when the broadcast starts, they have to find her in the suite, and then they have to find the best lighting and the best angle for the camera.
I'm going to interject. I guarantee they know where she is prior to the game. So if you're CBS or NBC and they send people to go meet with the PR people of Kansas City, they say, well, she's in suite 16. You're going to find, and it's not going to be hard to find her.
I saw a feature on this.
I don't care what they say.
Okay.
I'm just telling you.
Okay. Then I wonder why, when they, for example, in the Buffalo game, why you couldn't see anything the first time they showed her suite. Why the lighting was so bad.
So was the lighting bad? So, but she was in the back, right?
No, she was in the front, but all you could see was like a shadow outline.
So maybe that is by design by her team. In that box to say, we're going to turn off the lights. You're still going to be able to see the game, but this is what we're going to do to counter all the cameras.
Good conspiracy. I like it.
Yeah.
That is a good conspiracy. And Dan, this kind of plays into what you're talking about from the 573. I love it. My daughter is a T Swift lover, and she sits with me during the game just waiting to catch a glimpse of Taylor. Brings us together to watch the game. That's a very sweet moment.
And then one from the 573. Is this Kansas City sports radio station? Y'all are a mockery to St. Louis Rams fans. Okay.
You started the show with a highlight of the Rams.
I did.
Yeah.
One thing, if you're not aware of this, the Super Bowl is like a national thing, and so the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it might be new to you. But the Super Bowl is something that happens for the whole country, and so that's a big deal.
Worldwide,
Taylor
really.
Swift is probably the most recognizable person in the world right now. So I don't again, just providing a little bit of our job is to provide you information.
101 ESPN breaking news alert.
And the other part of this is that it is the cutest thing ever. So if you don't want to hear about the cutest thing ever, then listen to Bob Vesco and enjoy that. That is Kansas City radio. He's probably not talking about the cutest thing ever. He's probably talking about Joe Tooney being available for the Super Bowl.
How do you think the fans in Kansas City are reacting to this? I mean, their perspective has got to be different than anywhere else in the country because it's their team.
Think about this, though. Think about, heck, when John Hamm comes to Blues games. Think about having, and he's our guy, right? Think about having your not little, but Kansas City, it's not the biggest market. It's not New York, Chicago, L.A., and you've got Taylor Swift coming to all your games. That's like the coolest thing ever.
We talked about the money that she has brought in. Guys, for Major League Baseball and for the Cardinals, we need to find a pop superstar to date one of the Cardinals players.
Haley Steinfeld.
She's already dating Josh Allen of the Bills.
Okay.
I'm saying for Major League Baseball. We're talking about growing the game here, Randy.
I know. I'm working on it. I'm efforting here. I'm thinking I'm working on this.
What the hell can we do in this world to have fun? Nothing! Because you're out there saying everything we say is wrong! Tired of it!
That's Bob Vesco. WSB, whatever, 610, whatever he does in Kansas City. It's not very smart, but he does it. What is it? Doesn't everybody know that?
Randy.
Sorry. My bad. Not everybody knew. It's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud.
Okay.
Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Send in your text to the Air Comfort Service text line. 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho!
Yo-ho.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Whoa.
Are you kidding me?
You snuck it on us.
I did.
Yes,
I only do it
'cause
every
Rocc didn't
single
do it either.
day. Okay, Dan, help me out here. 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho.
Yo-ho.
Beautiful.
Tioli next
Different
time.
versions.
It is. It's great. Tioli next time. 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mac. Want to tell you about Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home, refi, or if you're looking for a consolidation, some of your ugly credit card debt, get it out of the way. Maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go in any of these things. Let me make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. He will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he will get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days. That's how fast. And he will get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan. You hear about that all the time. That can help you out too. What is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there is no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give him a call. Call him directly. He will pick up. It's his personal cell phone. Here's the number, 314-324-4440. Again, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
It's time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Only you can send in a text to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
We get this one. Randy, you're bad. Your show sucks, and thank God Dan is here to save your butt. Danny, thank you.
No problem, buddy. That's why I'm here.
Appreciate it.
I didn't see that one.
Always good to get friendly texts from the 636.
Super friendly.
Yeah. So love it. Kids, Gene Hackman turns 94 today. You remember him from Hoosiers, and he was in The Firm, and he was great in Runaway Jury. Take it or leave it, Gene Hackman is the most underrated actor of our generation.
He also was in with Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
What was that movie? The submarine.
Hunt for Red October.
That was Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. I know which one you're talking about.
Is it The Conversation?
No.
Is it Poseidon Adventure?
Text line will help us out.
Yeah, it will. But he was great in that. I've never seen a Gene Hackman movie that I didn't like.
I'm with you. He might be the most underrated guy.
He's fantastic.
How about Morgan Freeman? I think he's kind of underrated
really
too.
Underrated.
Yeah, he is. I'm looking right now. Okay, yeah, I recognize a lot of those
Crimson Tide.
movies. Crimson Tide,
That's
yes.
it. Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it.
Yes. Now I recognize. I didn't recognize, I have to be honest, the name at first. But now when I look at his resume and movies, I 100% recognize him.
You didn't recognize Gene Hackman?
The name at first.
Oh,
The name
okay.
at first. The name at first. But now I definitely know who he is.
French
Love
Connection, Mississippi Burning.
It's been a lot of great movies.
Mississippi Burning, he was incredible in.
Yeah, he's great.
Yep. I like that one, Randy. That was a good.
That is a good one.
That
I'm
was
going to have
good
to
one.
take it too.
And by the way, if you've never seen Hoosiers, this is a sports show. Watch Hoosiers because it's great. It's one of the great basketball movies.
I really thought he was going to miss the shot at the end.
Jimmy?
And then
Yeah,
you just go to the credits.
Yeah, this is
Jimmy Chitwood.
Yeah, this is what we call spoiler alert.
Oh,
I
can't
have
do that now.
A photo of the team.
Oh, do you?
And signed by Jimmy Chitwood, personalized to me. Dan, don't stick around and watch the paint dry. Your friend Jimmy Chitwood, and then he put his real name. That's kind of a cool memento that I have from that.
That's awesome.
That
Yeah.
is.
I can't believe that movie's 1986.
Wow.
It's a great
Wow.
movie. Still holds up. Yep, the basket's still 10 feet tall.
Take it or leave it, guys. So I have a theoretical fantasy trade. So I'm saying this because this is very important, but I'm also trying to gauge what you guys really think about this quarterback that's going to the Super Bowl. And I personally like Brock Purdy a lot. But yesterday on First Take, Ryan Clark talked about his support for Brock Purdy, saying in part that Purdy has already separated himself from Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. Take it or leave it, the 49ers would trade for Justin Herbert.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, take it. They would. Granted, Purdy's in a Super Bowl. But here's the thing. Justin Herbert is a guy that you can win because of. Brock Purdy is a guy that you win with. And that's not a bad thing.
It's not.
But Justin Herbert is a guy that is going to elevate lesser players. Brock Purdy, we don't know yet because he walked into a group of great players.
But he's going to a Super Bowl. So do you think that he has separated with what Ryan Clark was saying? Has he separated himself from Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert?
I think Dak he has. But Justin Herbert is otherworldly. Justin Herbert his numbers are the best for the first 3 years in the history of the league, better than Dan Marino's.
I can't focus right now on QBs when I'm thinking Royal Tannenbaums with Gene Hackman.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That movie's hilarious. I love that movie.
Great.
Have you seen it, though?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brooke,
Love
you
it.
need to see that.
Yes.
Royal
He's in
Tannenbaums.
Heartbreakers, too. That's another good movie.
Unforgiven was a great movie that he was in. That's another one. See, now I'm going down memory lane a little bit.
We're making the case that he's the most underrated actor.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. Okay, a recent look at the Cardinals rotation. Their starting five, on average, had a ERA at 4, just slightly above 4. Take it or leave it, it'll be under 4 by the end of the season. And I'm going to take that.
Wow.
Ooh, under 4.
I think the rotation is going to be better than people think. As long as they stay healthy, which is what every team is saying right now.
Do you think Miles Michaelis is going to have a big bounce back year?
He'll be
Lance
better.
Lynn.
Better.
Kyle Gibson.
Not sure.
Okay. Sonny Gray. I
Like
think
him a lot.
that's, yes, I like Sonny Gray a lot.
Sonny came home.
Steven Matz. You have concerns? That kind of goes into the health question.
I would love Steven Matz in my bullpen. I think
I would too.
He's comes out, he throws harder, he's willing to throw inside on right-handers where I don't see that. I see him picking more as a starter as opposed to when he's reliever and airs it out.
I don't think it will be under 4, so I'm going to have to leave it.
Okay.
For
Gibson
that.
last year, 4.73. Lynn, 4.36. Miles Michaelis, who, by the way, admitted that he basically has a good year every other year. So
Exactly.
say
That's
that.
what I'm going on.
Yep. He was 4.78. So they're going to have to really dramatically turn around what they did last year.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it. But I'm going to say that they're all better than they were last year, except for Sonny Gray.
Randy, come on.
Well, how's he going to be better than he was last year? He had a career year.
Why can't he just do what he did last year?
Well, I would love to see it happen. But except for I would like to see him pitching more winning games.
I really enjoyed Runaway Jury, too.
I think that is one of the sneaky great movies of all time. Very creatively done. Cusack was great.
Yep.
Rachel Weisz was great. It was just a really well done movie.
You really messed up my whole segment, Randy. That's all I'm thinking about is movies.
See, there's
movies.
nothing wrong with that.
No.
But that's such a great era of movies, though.
It's great.
Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
Take it or leave it. Andy Reid is a better coach than Bill Belichick.
Take it.
I'm going to take that.
Really, Randy, you do. I didn't see that coming.
Well, Andy Reid went to a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb as his quarterback, right?
Darn right
He's
he did.
been to how many championship games now? Has he been to 12 or 11 or 12 conference championship
So it's
games?
6 straight with the Chiefs right now.
Yeah.
As
And
a head
then,
coach?
and then he did 4.
Yeah.
He did 4 straight with the Eagles at
Yeah,
5
I thought
total.
it
It
was
might have been
10.
to 6 with the Eagles.
I thought it was okay.
So I'm not sure. It's 11 or 12.
He might be the greatest coach of all time.
He might be.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's.
Gibbs.
Well, Joe Gibbs is pretty awesome. The other thing about Reid, and I don't know that this goes to coaching acumen, but his coaching tree is way better than Belichick's coaching tree.
And they showed that on the telecast over the weekend. It was amazing, some of the names that were on that coaching tree that he was a part of.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. So Matthew's got the math here.
Yeah, so it's the 4 straight and then 1 more. So it's 5 in Philly and 6 in not the 6 straight in
11 championship games.
And the thing about that is that he has a 6 straight and a 4 straight run.
Yeah.
In out of those 11, that's insane.
How many Eagles fans are saying, why did we let this guy go?
I think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still looking at Nick Foles posters. I think they're fine. Take it or leave it. The only change for the Blues on the blue line next season will be the subtraction of Marco Scandella.
I'm going to believe that.
I believe that too.
What do you think happens to Nick Leddy?
I think they might. I think he's under contract still, so he'll be back.
But there's guys that you can move at the trade deadline, is what I'm saying. Well, depending on where you're at.
Yep.
And right now, they're on the cusp of making the playoffs.
And I think they've got to do that. Here's the thing, though. Would you be surprised? And I know Armstrong has never done a buyout before. And things can change over the last third plus of the season. But the way things have gone with Krug, and we know they tried to trade him, would you be surprised if they would buy him out?
No.
Ooh.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe it's just finding the right fit and the right team, because it seemed like he just really didn't want to go to the Flyers. And so maybe if you find the right fit for him,
yeah, and
then he could.
You know what? He could get back to his great power play quarterback ways in the last third of the season and endear himself to the Blues and Blues fans.
What happens to Perunovich? Because his status, I think, is... I'm not sure where he's at in terms of, he doesn't hit free agency, I know that, but that'd be a guy too that I'd look at. There's something in a clause in his contract, I think, that he hits something.
He does
after this season. What am I thinking, Brooke?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but yes, he does hit that. And the biggest thing right now, though, is that he's dealing with a lower body injury.
Is he ever going to play more than 70 games for you? That's the question that I would have about Perunovich. Can you count on him? Because the most important ability is
staying on
availability.
The ice.
Yes,
it is.
Yep. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thanks for your text. We do appreciate it. Coming up, Oli Marmol joined a friend of the show, Xavier Scruggs, on his show. And Oli had some interesting points about the way he manages. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we've decided it's time to make a major upgrade to our home, and that is updating our bathroom. We're actually about to get started on construction on it on the next 2 weeks. We have our house in U City. It's over 100 years old, and we absolutely love it. But one of the biggest things when we bought the house was our main bathroom, and we're so excited to get started on here. But we really have never done anything like this before, and we weren't really sure where to start. So we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here at 101 ESPN, and that is EMB Granite. EMB Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they sketched out a vision of how to really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with EMB Granite was going by their showroom and exploring their huge selection of in-stock custom countertops and cabinet options. It was really easy to find the thing that we were looking for. We worked with Jen, and she was fantastic. She already had some great ideas for us that really fit within our budget. Their friendly and experienced team has been doing that for a long time, turning visions into realities for over 20 years. So schedule your free consultation today by calling 314-645-9300 or online at embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom. Make sure you mention that I sent you.
in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke, Dan, and Randy. And Cardinal skipper Oli Marmol joined former Cardinal Xavier Scruggs on his internet show recently. And Xavier, who had the perception that Ollie's managerial work is driven by the front office, asked about that perception.
People like saying, I hate analytics or old school versus new school. It's neither. It's, man, like you're using a ton of information to help you make decisions that are sustainable over time.
Right.
And when you look at the game, you have to remember you're dealing with humans that have a heartbeat, that experience pressure and anxiety, and some handle the moment a certain way, some don't. So it's great to have this information. You use it,
right?
But at the same time, all you're doing is applying it to what you know and your eyes see and your gut tells you. So when it comes down to it, yeah, I want as much information as possible. I want to be able to process it, figure out what works, what doesn't, what I like using, what I don't like using. But then you let your eyes see the game, and you know the personality of the player, and you know how they can handle certain things in certain situations.
Right.
So, yeah, you're not letting the numbers just run the game, and I think that's a perception that's out there. We're like, oh, the front offices are running the game.
Yeah, that is the perception.
I can tell you right now, I've yet to have one person from our front office come down and tell me what I should have done in a game or how to run the next game, or like that's not how we operate. I can tell you that in St. Louis.
Right.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. And I hope that Oli does get better at maximizing the talent that he has then, because it drives me crazy to see a guy like Genesis Cabrera come here, have an earned run average of 5, and say, I didn't like my role. The Cardinals move him to Toronto, and he goes 24 straight games without allowing a run. A manager, if he's running the show, needs to be able to maximize the talent that he has on hand. And I hope Oli, being in charge, is able to do that in 2024.
Now, I'm not saying that this was Genesis Cabrera, but just putting this out there, because we know that now managing coaching is so different, especially with younger athletes and maybe how they handle things, or even veterans. I mean, everybody has their certain way of handling this. What about if that player was very just the way that they handled that news of maybe with Genesis Cabrera in that example with the bullpen, that they didn't handle it well and it turned into a big situation behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, where guys all of a sudden go the wrong direction because of frustration. And like he said, they're human beings. And sometimes when frustration gets in, or the way they're being used, you know what? You just don't get the best out of that player. I think that's legitimate. He said there's certain things in certain situations where, and I'm paraphrasing, where it may go against the grain. And I remember there's a couple of instances last year where he had guys on the bench, and I thought, well, this is the perfect matchup for player X, and he went with player Y. And he'll tell you, he goes, this guy's got a great sinker. This player in this position the last 2 weeks has been hitting a sinker very well. That's why we went with this. You know, so on the surface, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you go deep into what they're thinking, and that is a human element, it does make sense. I'm not saying it always works out. Best in the world do it 3 out of 10 times when they're at the plate. So sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. And in terms of the front office dictating what he needs to do, the front office will give him a pile of information prior to a game, prior to a series. It is up to the coaching staff, ultimately the manager, on what he wants to do. After games, I can tell you, front office personnel go down and say, hey, what were you thinking in the 6th? How did that transpire? You know, what was going on in the 8th? Why did we go with this guy? Well, this guy was ouchy. That's why we went with this player. You know, I mean, that stuff is done they're debatable situations, just like we do on talk radio, or somebody watching at home is going, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? That's being done behind closed doors too.
Now, Oli is aware of what we say on this show. He's aware of all the criticism that comes his way via the media. How does he handle that criticism?
We all handle and have to deal with pressure. It fuels me. I don't think I would wake up to do the job if the expectations weren't extremely high. Like it wouldn't interest me anymore. So when the stakes are high, especially in St. Louis, you're expected to win every game, every year.
Yeah.
That's what wakes you up in the morning. And when you talk about the great players, like they like that pressure. They want the game on the line. They want that situation. So for me, like I enjoy the pressure. I do. Is there times where I think we could get into this, but there's a difference between pressure and criticism, and we can talk about the two and how they're different. But the pressure and the expectations being high in St. Louis is what wakes me up in the morning and gets me going. If the expectation wasn't to win, I'm not sure I would do it.
Yeah.
And I think now in 2024, all Cardinal fans expect us to win. I don't think style points matter anymore. Like last year, they had the number 20 defense in baseball, according to the defensive runs saved metric, which they had been top 5 in since Mike Schilt had taken over, even in Oli's first year. I think if the Cardinals find a way to win, people will be satisfied. Although I think we would all love to see the Cardinals get back to what their foundation is, which is it's George Kissel, it's pitching, it's defense, it's being aggressive, it's running the bases well. We would like to see them play clean baseball, but I think now they're just. I'm just hungry for wins.
Everybody is. And winning solves everything. I mean, it's so cliche, but man, is that true. Winning solves everything. I mentioned this the other day. I did a fundraiser for SLU Baseball with Oli, and I said to him before we went on stage, I said, is there anything you want to stay away from or, not address? He said, no. Go down the hard questions that you have. And then, so we went for probably 35, 40 minutes about lineup construction, why you do certain things, analytics. We talked a lot about that. His answer to Xavier was very similar to what he said that night. But he also, I loved what he did. I said, does anybody have any questions? And we got through probably 3 or 4. And then he says, this is your shot. If you have anything that you want to ask me about, this is to the crowd. You throw things at your TV when I'm doing stuff last year, or you don't like what I'm doing, this is your shot, and let me try to explain it to you. I respect that. You may not like what he does, but at least he's there to answer the questions, and he's getting tougher questions this offseason because of how poorly they played last year, and that's legitimate.
Yeah, and he's well aware of the pressure that he's addressing there. I think the expectation is to win. Of course, you can't go out and win every single game, but I think that the thing that you want to see different from last season, there was a lot of just bad games. Even in games that they possibly won, you didn't see a fundamentally sound product out there on the field every single game. I think that that's what people will appreciate the most. And to me, that would be the biggest thing for him this season. Of course, you want as many wins as possible. You need to do better than you did last season. But don't you think that a lot of people would just want to see a more fundamentally sound game from the Cardinals this year?
Absolutely. And Mo addressed that during the winter warm-up. He said we need to get back to playing Cardinal baseball, and what happened last year was not acceptable, and we need to get back to fundamental baseball to accentuate your point. They know it. I mean, they've got to be better at base running. They've got to be better in the defensive aspect of the game. There's going to be guys that have slumps, and then all of a sudden, rest of the guys, they slump. It's contagious. There is momentum in the game, but I always go to next day starter, and that's somebody that can stop a losing streak. And, they just didn't get quality starts last year. They didn't get guys going 5 or 6 innings. And when you're relying on your bullpen that much, you're going to have some ugly games, and that's what they had. And I know people say, well, why don't you steal bases more? Well, when you're down 4-0 early in a game, you're not. That's just the way it goes. I mean, you got to get back in the game. Base runners are at a premium. You got to keep guys on base. You might hit a home run. You're back in the game. That's just baseball in a nutshell. Those are a lot of things I was looking at.
And Whitey, his teams didn't lose a lot, but that was a way for those, and it's a different sport now than it was in the 80s, but that was a way for Whitey's teams to score runs. They weren't going to hit home runs, so they had to steal bases. Now, with the ability up and down the lineup for the Cardinals to hit a home run, I don't love it, but I get it. I understand that that's just the way the game is played.
100%. And think about how they built that team. It was built for the ballpark. Yeah. It was built for turf, different era. But I'm with you. I don't like it. I wish they played a more exciting brand of baseball, and that's generally not just the Cardinals. I wish the game was more exciting, but you sit back, you wait for a home run, and it's dictated by power.
Coming up on 101 ESPN, the Blues play the Blue Jackets tonight over at Enterprise Center. We're going to talk to the TV voice of the Blues, John Kelly, next on 101 ESPN. I'm a big fan of getting together with people for lunch, and my favorite place is the Fenton Bar and Grill. And if you want a tantalizing lunch today, enjoy the Tuesday special over at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It is an absolutely delicious open-faced turkey sandwich on Texas toast with fresh tomatoes, crispy bacon, and outstanding cheese sauce, and a side of tots. And the tots are absolutely magnificent at the Fenton Bar and Grill. If you want a heavenly lunch, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill. And you'll love the people at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Stop by and say hi to the manager, Chuck, and all the servers are great. Alicia and the feisty redhead Kelly will be there today, and you can also stop by and say hi to Megan and Colleen. The whole group is so much fun, and they love to serve you with a smile. And they're all about sports at the Fenton Bar and Grill. You can go over there and talk some Cardinal baseball. You can talk about the Blues. You can talk what's coming up with the big game in a couple of weeks. You'll love the Fenton Bar and Grill. And oh, by the way, if you want a fabulous addition to your big game menu, order the trashed wings from Fenton Bar and Grill. Best wings in town. Make a call, order the wings, and they'll have them ready for you on Big Game Sunday. And get some of that signature golden sauce as well. It is absolutely remarkable. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. You can learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com. And when you stop by, tell them Randy sent you.
As we head into the Blues booth, presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, a proud partner of your St. Louis Blues. Find your perfect new floor at our 4 convenient locations and online at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Try to make it 6 in a row when they take on the Blue Jackets tonight over at Enterprise Center. The action at 7 on Bally Sports Midwest. You can hear the pregame here on 101 ESPN at 6 o'clock. John Kelly, the TV voice of the Blues, joins us as he does every Tuesday here on 101 ESPN. JK, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys today?
Everything's great. Okay, if you could capsulize why the Blues have been able to win 5 in a row, what would your primary answer be?
Well, I really think 2 things, Randy. If I can go with 2, is that all right with you?
Absolutely, yes.
You're the one that asked the question. Yeah, I'm a rule follower. So, I think 2 things, honestly. I think great goaltending. I know they've allowed, 3 goals in the last 3 games. The last 4, they've won 4 straight by 4-3 scores. But the Blues goaltenders are making big saves at the big time. To keep it maybe a 1-goal game or keep it a 2-goal game and, not fall out of it. So I think that's the number 1 thing. And number 2, it's quite obvious they're scoring big goals to win games and to get back in games. So I think those 2 things are the key reasons, the big goals at the right time and the great goaltending.
Now, this also might be hard, JK, and if you want to choose more than one, you can. But which one is the player? I know, we're just going to fire them back-to-back at you. Which player during this 5-game win streak has just really stood out to you?
Boy, that's a tough one. I think you'd have to say Shen. He's been so great with the big goals and, 2 overtime goals, obviously, in the last 3 games. It comes on the heels of his longest drought of his of his career when he went, 12 games without a goal and, no assists in like 15 or something like that. So it was only a matter of time. We kept saying it, but he really is on fire right now. So, I think the other thing about the Blues right now, you mentioned Shen, and it's certainly not one player, but they're getting a lot of production from their top two lines. And so, one night it could be the Thomas line, and the Thomas line was really, really good the other night against the Kings. And the Shen line was really fantastic on the road trip. So it's a double-edged sword. So when you have two hot lines coming at the opposition, it makes it tough to defend. So I think that's another reason why that they're getting a lot of scoring from a lot of different areas right now.
JK, you have to wonder where this team would be if the power play was just decent at the beginning of the season, and now it's been really good under Drew Bannister. In a nutshell, and try to explain what's happening out there, what is the difference with the power play now where they're having some success?
Well, yeah, Dan, it's a very complicated, thing. Obviously, that. The game of hockey. And, fans, when it wasn't going well, they would ask what's wrong. And, when I'm on a radio show like this, would ask what's wrong. And it really would be disingenuous of me to just say, well, they need to do this and they need to do that, because it's such a complicated thing. But, basically, the Blues have mixed personnel. They've changed the key players in key positions. For instance, Sundqvist is now the net front presence guy on the second unit. And they've mixed things up. But I think, the biggest thing is probably they've had a shot-first mentality a lot more than they did in the first couple of months. And if things aren't working for one unit, they're not afraid to put the other unit out there. I know Bannister did that a couple of times when the second unit would score a goal and then they'd be back out for the next power play. So I think those are the main reasons why the power play is a lot better. It was 40% going into the last game in the previous 8 games. So 40% is a great number, obviously. So the changes that Bannister have made have really worked, and it's great to see. But you're right, Dan. If the Blues power play had been better in the first couple of months and it was just really, really bad, they would have 3 or 4 more victories at least by now, at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, John, I look at the Blues, and they're all really good players. They have to be to play in the NHL. But when your third line is Hayes, Toropchenko, and Walker, for a lot of Blues teams, that would have been a fourth line. And then you've got Sundqvist, Alexander, Blais. That was the group the other day. I think, and this is a credit to them, I think they're actually playing above their talent level right now. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that we're seeing good shifts after shift. And, for instance, if the Shen line has a good shift and then one of those other 2 lines come out there, they continue it. So it's continuing the momentum. And that's great to see, because if you lose the momentum, it's hard to get it back. And, a player that probably doesn't get a lot of notoriety that I think has really helped his team is Nathan Walker. Mm-hmm. He has come up and he has played really well with Hayes and Toropchenko. And Hayes needs speed on his line because obviously he doesn't have a ton of speed. But when you put faster players with him, he's a more effective player. And Nathan Walker plays the right way. He plays a direct game. He has good speed, and he can score some goals. I think he scored 3 goals since his recall from the minors. So he's also feisty. He doesn't turn down a hit. So I think Nathan Walker coming up about a month ago, sort of an under-the-radar kind of move that has really helped the team, and in particular helped the bottom 6.
All right, JK, the Blues will have 10 days off after tonight's game because of the All-Star break and then their little bye. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the Blues right now?
Well, I think you could argue both ways, Randy. Obviously, they're red hot, and you want to keep it going. But, they're starting to get a few more injuries. I don't think Falk is going to be ready to go. We'll find out at the morning skate today. Perunovic obviously left the game the other night, so that's 2 defensemen down. But they played a lot of hockey, and that road trip they just went on. I know it was only 3 games, and it was over a 4-day span, but it was a lot of miles, a lot of air miles, and I was really pleasantly surprised the way they played on Sunday against the Kings, an afternoon game after flying home Saturday. So they put on a lot of miles the last month, and really going back to even the start of December, this team's played a ton of road games. So I think overall it's probably a good thing that the break is where it's at right now.
I think it's kind of a must-win game, John, and I know that sounds crazy tonight, but you're taking on a lesser team without one of their top players, and if you're the coaching staff, I'm sure they reiterate this point 1,000 times today. Don't look ahead to the break. Take care of business, get the 2 points, then worry about the break. Do you agree with that?
I agree. It's a trap game, Dan, no question. They just beat a really good team in L.A., and they lost to Columbus on December 8th, 5-2. And then the next night they went into Chicago and lost to a bad Chicago team, and then, of course, lost to Detroit, and that's when they made the coaching change. So you can't lose these type of games. Is it must win? No, it's not really must win. We know that. But it's one of those games that you really, really should have and need to have to continue that momentum into the break, because after the break, the Blues have a 3-game road trip to Buffalo, Montreal, and Toronto. So that's a tough trip, obviously. So I think it's as close to a must-win as you could get, Dan, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
And 4 of those first 6 out of the break, unusually, are day games. The first 2, Buffalo and Montreal, as you mentioned, both noon games. And then they've got a 4 o'clock game here against Nashville. And then on President's Day, they've got Toronto here in town at noon. Does it make any difference to you doing a day game or a night game, John?
No, I love it. No morning skate, guys. Shorter day. And my nights are open, right? And I think I think the players like day games because of those, quite honestly. Then you have nights off. So, they have to prepare any way that they have to, regardless if it's a, West Coast game or a noon game at home, whatever. I mean, they have to be professionals and get ready to go, but I really don't think it makes a big difference.
The travel is tough sometimes on an announcer, too, so you get a break. And what are you going to do, JK? You going to hang out at home, or are you going to take a little vacation?
No, we're going to hang out at home. We have some trips planned for the spring and summer, so we're going to just hang out here for the next 10 days and just chill. And, the weather's getting pretty good, Dan. Maybe a little golf. You never know.
Thursday, 60 degrees. Not that I'm taking note of that. Just taking a look at it, JK. You might want to think about that.
Yeah, no doubt. John Kelly, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. We'll be tuned in tonight, and have yourself a great break.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. That's John Kelly, TV voice of the Blues. You'll see him tonight with Jamie Rivers on Bally Sports. Coming up, I have to defend our honor with the fight. I lost yesterday. I was a loser.
Did it change the whole complexion of the show because you get in bad moods, man, when you drop one?
Ruined my day, Dan.
Did it really?
Yeah, I was upset.
Well, today, if you lose, you're going to go to the Fenton Bar and Grill, and as you said,
open-faced turkey sandwich.
Absolutely, and life's going to be good.
Have some of that hard-working lager.
That's
from
right.
Fenton Bar and Grill, their own beer.
Hey, you'll have that sandwich. You'll be with friends, and you'll be able to move on. I think. I hope.
I hope too.
Yeah,
I hope. Speaking of Morgan Freeman,
Matt, do we need a fighter?
No, we got a fighter.
Oh, that's right. What am I saying?
I'm a loser, Dan.
You're not a loser, Randy.
Well, thanks.
I don't know what I'm thinking. Let's go to break.
Break and then fight next on 101 ESPN.
Someone's got to say it. Let it be you. Use the mic drop feature in the 101 ESPN app. Search the 101 ESPN app now in the App Store or Google Play.
Hey, you see the commercials with our buddy Robert Thomas and the Auto Loan Pro. And if you're going to get a new vehicle, you need to go to autoloanpro.com, and they'll set you up. If you can make a payment, then you will get a loan from autoloanpro.com. They're going to do an amazing job of getting you the best rate and the best payment possible. And they know at Auto Loan Pro that everybody is in different circumstances, and sometimes you run into a situation where you lose a job or you have an unexpected expense, and maybe your credit rating isn't what you want it to be. Well, they're going to take care of you. They're going to help you get your credit back on track with little to no money down, and they're going to work to make sure that you get the best rate possible. If you go to autoloanpro.com, click to download the game plan playbook. It makes all the difference in the world and tells you how they're going to get you a great loan. And they're working with over 50 lenders to make sure that you get the best rate possible. And with the very, very best financing, the best rate, it's going to be the best payment for you as well. If you're financing a car, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro at autoloanpro.com.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues back in action, facing off against the Blue Jackets tonight down at Enterprise Center. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop. You can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues starting at 6 p.m. Also, local college basketball tonight is the number 14th ranked Fighting Illini face off against Ohio State, with a 6 p.m. tip-off and then a 7 p.m. tip-off for the St. Louis Billikens traveling up to Chicago to face off against Loyola Chicago. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke Grimsley here alongside Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, Matthew Rocchio, and it is time for the fight. And Dan, yesterday, the mighty Mega Mind was taken down by Dan. So
Wow.
we say hi to Dan. How are you doing today, Dan? You ready for round two?
Which one are you talking to?
To the winner yesterday,
Oh,
Dan.
that Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hey, good morning. Sorry we missed you yesterday, Dan.
Well, I know. I feel the same way. Do you go by Dan, Danny, or Daniel?
I go by Dan, unless I'm in trouble.
I'm in the same boat, man. When I got in trouble, Mom said Daniel. So I'm with you on that one. But good luck today, and go take down Randy. Let's see what you got.
Appreciate it.
All right, you ready for question number one?
Fire away.
Quarterbacks have taken home 46 of the 67 NFL MVP awards. Who is the last non-quarterback to win the MVP? Is it Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson, or Adrian Peterson?
Go Derrick Henry. No, sorry, Chris Johnson.
Is that your final answer, sir?
Final answer, Chris Johnson.
Okay, question two. Which team owns the largest margin of victory in a Super Bowl? Bears over the Patriots, Seahawks over the Broncos, the Niners over the Broncos.
Can you repeat those three again?
Which team owns the largest margin of victory in a Super Bowl? Bears over the Patriots, Seahawks over the Broncos, Niners over the Broncos.
Seahawks over the Broncos.
Which team won the most games in Major League Baseball last year? Is it the Atlanta Braves, the Baltimore Orioles, or the LA Dodgers?
Orioles.
Is that your final answer, sir?
That is my final answer.
Question 4, please. There are 2 Hall of Fame coaches in NFL history to never coach a losing season. Vince Lombardi and who else? Bill Walsh, Bud Grant, or John Madden?
Bill Walsh.
Okay. We have 4 questions that have been answered. Now it's time to bring in Randall Carricker.
Randall. Should we do that now? Should we just do everybody Daniel in here? Randall.
Come on in, Randall. Randy, during these little breaks in which he leaves the studio, enjoys some grapes and replenishes for the stretch run of this epic program on 101 ESPN. Don't we, Randy?
We do, Dan.
Okay. Get that grape down, man. I don't want you slurring and, eating on the air.
Okay, I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
And you remember Dan from yesterday,
Hi,
Randy.
Dan.
Say
Yes,
hi to
good
him
morning.
again.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing well, Randy. Doing well.
Good. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. Good luck.
All right, Randy or Randall. Question.
Randy,
No.
I'm loose and fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not stuffy.
What about Ran? We just shortened it even
Like
more.
Ran Carthon?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I like winning.
Oh,
Damn!
okay. We're going to get started with question number 1.
Question one,
Anyways,
please.
quarterbacks have taken home 46 of the 67 NFL MVP awards. Who is the last non-quarterback to win MVP?
Last quarterback to win.
Non-quarterback.
Non-quarterback. So you had Von Miller, and that was 15, I think, 2015. And then after that, you've had, do you think you've had a running back, right? Mahomes has won a few. Have you had a wide receiver? I don't think so. Von Miller was after Malcolm Smith because the Broncos won after Seattle did. I'm just trying to think.
Regular season MVPs?
Oh, regular season MVP. I thought it was Super Bowl MVP.
There haven't been 67 Super Bowls, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, regular season MVP, last non-quarterback to win the regular season MVP and the Super Bowl?
No. Just last non-quarterback to win the NFL MVP.
NFL MVP. Okay.
Regular season.
Okay. Regular season. Okay. I thought I heard the Super Bowl in there somewhere.
It's just quarterbacks have taken home 46 of the 67 NFL MVP awards.
Okay, got it. Last one to win, last non-quarterback. Well, it wasn't a defensive player, so we're probably looking maybe at Adrian Peterson, running back. I don't know if there's been since then. I think Adrian Peterson's a pretty safe bet. I'll go with Adrian Peterson.
Would that be your final answer, Randy?
Final answer, yes.
Question 2. Which team owns the largest margin of victory in a Super Bowl?
Okay. 85 Bears won 46-10. 94 Chargers, 49-14, I think. The 89 49ers, 55-10 over the Broncos. I was at that game. Hard to imagine that somebody would have done more than that, right? A 45-point margin of victory.
I don't know. You have to answer the questions, Randy.
I'm going to go with this is largest margin of victory in a Super Bowl game.
That's correct.
I will go with the 49ers over the Broncos 55-10 by 45 points.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer, sir.
Question number 3. Which team won the most games in Major League Baseball in 2023?
2023.
That was last year. Just in case you knew that.
Doyers would seem to be the logical choice here, right? They always win over 100. You had Baltimore over 100. You had Houston over 100. You had Atlanta over 100. I'm just going to say that the. Oh, hell, I don't know. I'll do the lifeline here. That's a stupid lifeline to use, but I'll do it anyway.
Why not? You know?
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves, Baltimore Orioles, or the LA Dodgers.
Okay, well, I just gave myself the lifeline there.
A lot of options.
Yeah, there are. I will. Who had home field in the National League? So you had Atlanta get a bye. Did the Dodgers lost? The Dodgers didn't win the World Series, did they? Neither did the Braves. So I'm trying to think of that first round because you had byes.
Oh, sure. I can understand that.
Yeah. And so you had Philadelphia beating Atlanta, I think, and then the Doyers lost to Arizona. I'm going to go with who would have. I'm going to say the Doyers would have had to play at Atlanta. I'm going to go, and I'm just going to leave the Orioles out of this. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Braves, Brooke.
Is that it, Randy?
That's it. Final answer.
Okay, question 4. There are 2 Hall of Fame coaches in NFL history to never coach a losing season. Vince Lombardi and who else?
Vince Lombardi. Hall of Fame coaches. Bill Walsh had a losing season. George Halas had a losing season. Don Coryell had a losing season. Dick Vermeil had a losing season.
Just get to the answer, Randy.
I'm just trying to...
You're spitballing, aren't you?
I'm totally spitballing.
You're just spitballing. That's what you do.
Yeah. Okay. You know what I think I'm going to do here?
You're out of lifelines.
Oh, I'm out of lifelines. Okay. Jimmy Johnson had a losing season. I think I'm going to go with... Madden, because Madden took over a pretty good program, and he left after his 10th season and seemed to make the playoffs a lot. So I am going to go with Coach Madden.
Final answer.
Final answer. It's a lot of coaches in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that sure is.
Yeah.
We have a winner in today's fight. Does Randy Carricker take back the title, or does Dan move on to a potential Hall of Fame shot in round 3? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker. The fight is driven by Car Shield. Plans to fit any budget. Visit carshield.com today.
I'm so sorry, Dan, but Randy Carricker hit the jack. He beat you today 4-0.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Didn't feel good about that one.
It was a tricky one. Let's go through those questions and let's go through those answers. Quarterbacks have taken home 46 of the 67 NFL MVP awards, and it is Adrian Peterson, the last non-quarterback to win. It's been a wild run for the past throwers, I should say, in the NFL lately. I think it's like 14 or 15 straight at this point. Which team owns the largest margin of victory in a Super Bowl? It is, in fact, the Niners over the Broncos, a 45-point win. The Atlanta Braves won the most games in Major League Baseball in 2023 with 104. The Baltimore Orioles won 101, and the Dodgers won 100 even. And there are 2 Hall of Fame coaches in NFL history to never coach a losing season, Vince Lombardi and John Madden. And through that research, I found out that, did you know that Tom Landry's first season with the Cowboys, you know what his record was, Randy?
They were, 0-11-1?
0-11-1 was Tom Landry's first season with the Cowboys, which I had no idea at all, which kind of fascinates me. So, a 4-0 win for Randy Carricker in the fight today. Dan, thank you so much for joining the fight the last 2 days.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you. Have a blessed day, everyone.
I was going to say caller,
it.
Dan, but that would have confused you.
Hey, Randy. So Madden was what, 32 when he was head coach of the Raiders?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Has there been a younger head coach? There's got to be, right?
Well, Sean McVay.
I was outside of McVay.
Yeah,
Has there
I think
been?
Shula might have been. Don Shula, when he started, might have been 31.
Okay. I just couldn't remember. I knew McVay. I couldn't think of anybody else.
Yeah.
That, what was it? Montana had, 5 TDs in that Super Bowl you attended?
Yes. Jerry Rice was the MVP.
Are you sure about that? I thought Montana may have been.
I think that's the year that Rice went over 200 yards receiving in the Super Bowl.
There have been 8 head coaches signed 32 years or younger.
Wow.
Sean McVay is the youngest ever at 30 years, 11 months. Lane Kiffin, Harlan Svar, John Mickelson, Raheem Morris, David Shula, Josh McDaniels, and John Madden. Those are all the coaches hired at 32 years or younger. Don Shula with the Colts was 33 years and 4 days old.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
Good. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, if you hate the Chiefs, do you hate them for the right reasons? That's next on the opening drive.
Okay, so you filed your taxes this year, but you know you have past IRS issues. And now the IRS letters are coming. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Don't ignore those IRS letters. They're important and give you rights and deadlines to defend yourself. Waiting could cause you to lose those rights. Call the Lance Drury Law Firm now and let us help you get ahead of the IRS and defend your rights while you still have time. The Lance Drury Law Firm is located here in St. Louis, so take the first step and hire a tax resolution attorney. We've made it super easy to schedule your free consultation in person, or you can do a phone call and save travel time. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call today at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, or go visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, it's Randy, and I don't have to tell you that different real estate agents obviously are going to sell your home for different amounts of money. So the agent you choose to sell your home matters. Here are the facts. Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty sells faster and for more money than the average agent. Gloria has guarantees that allow you to rest easy. Not to mention, Gloria already has the buyers. She already has the buyers? That's pretty incredible. But she does. And that's because she's been in the business for 20 years, and she has an exclusive database of people looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. And that's how she nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, which means more money in your pocket. She's not your average agent. Gloria is going to sell quickly and for the most money. And with 20 years of experience, hundreds of homes sold in the past 12 months, she's the only agent I'd trust to sell my home. It's Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Her number, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit her website, GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. not perfect. I hate some folk, but when I hate them, I have good reason for it. And hate's a big word, and I legitimately do hate a couple of people.
Who?
Let me guess. Stan Kroenke, Kevin Demoff.
Those are two of them, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I saw those two, like if they were out at Creve Coeur Lake and they had fallen into the water and they couldn't swim and they were drowning and I only had one piece of rope to toss out to them, I just grab my lawn chair and watch the show.
That'd be it. Yep.
Dan, I feel like we can't react to that because we might be an accessory to something here. I feel like we just have to pretend like he didn't just say that.
Nope, that's when if you ever notice, I just say at 9 o'clock, we have the rush hour reset.
But here's the thing, kids. There are people in town, and this is how this came about. There are people in town, and I have a good reason for not liking Kroenke and Demoff, right? They took my football team away. There are people that hate the Kansas City Chiefs. I have no problem with hating the Kansas City Chiefs, but if you're going to hate them for the right reasons.
Well, and there is this, I guess you could put meme in this category, a meme circulating right now on social media that people are using to kind of condemn Hunt.
And Brooke, I want people to know that's how I get all my information is through memes on the internet.
Isn't that what everybody does now?
Yeah.
Memes are the new propaganda. Can we all agree on that? Sorry, that's a whole separate discussion, but memes are the new propaganda, are they not?
They are.
They are. So there's a meme that is circulating right now on social media. You can see it everywhere where people are using this. They're sharing this to justify the reason for the hatred of Hunt and why you shouldn't be cheering on the Chiefs. So it says the Hunt family loves St. Louis ? So I'm going to run down these situations they have on here, Randy. You tell me if it's true or not.
Point by point? Yeah.
Okay. 1964, threatened to block AFL to St. Louis.
Well, Brooke, the St. Louis Cardinals came to St. Louis from Chicago in 1960. The American Football League was not coming to St. Louis in 1964. They had no inclination, if they were going to expand, to come here and try to compete with the NFL in St. Louis. So I wasn't around as a broadcaster. I wasn't aware of what was happening in 1964. But I can tell you definitively that even if they did block the AFL to St. Louis, it wouldn't have mattered because we already had the NFL and we were 4 years into the NFL existence with the Cardinals. We weren't L.A., we weren't New York, we weren't Chicago. We weren't going to be a market that had both the NFL and the AFL. So this is preposterous and wrong.
1988, voted to allow Big Red to move to AZ, Arizona.
And at that point, we had 28 teams in the NFL, and the vote was 27-0-1. The Raiders abstained. St. Louis have made it clear that they were not going to build a stadium for Bill Bidwill. Everybody around the league knew the deficiencies of the old Busch Stadium and that St. Louis did need a new stadium, and there was no reasonable move made on the part of St. Louis to keep the Cardinals here. And Bill Bidwill was essentially pushed out of town by the people at Civic Progress, who, by the way, went on the record and said that if a stadium was built in the county, this is the most powerful business people in St. Louis, that if a stadium was built in the county, that they would not buy luxury suites. He was pushed out of town, Bill Bidwill was. Okay, so let's go with that one. And so that, if you were a reasonable business person, if you were the National Football League, any NFL owner at that time, and I hated the fact that the Cardinals left, but it was a business move that had to be made for them to be able to sustain their business.
1995, initially voted to block Rams move to St. Louis.
Again, the league vote was unanimous, and we talked yesterday about League Think, and the Hunt family, Lamar Hunt, was all in on League Think. This is a guy that came up with the name for the Super Bowl. He was all about doing things in concert with the rest of the league and with Pete Rozelle, and it's one of the reasons that the NFL is what it is because they did practice League Think with revenue sharing and with NFL properties and with the way they ran their business. And until Georgia filed a lawsuit, yes, they did vote for against the Rams move to St. Louis. And then once Georgia threatened with a really good foundation for a lawsuit to sue the league, they voted against it. But then once the lawsuit was threatened, then they voted for the move to St. Louis.
2015, the only owner to vote against the Carson Project.
And I've mentioned this ad nauseum, but it wound up being a prescient move on the part of Clark Hunt because he told that group of people that included Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, Bob McNair, late owner of the Houston Texans, Jerry Richardson, late owner of the Carolina Panthers, John Mara, owner of the Giants, and Art Rooney, owner of the Steelers. He got in that room, Clark Hunt did, and said, look, we can't even count on support for one team in Los Angeles, let alone two. That's why he voted for Inglewood, because at that time, everybody was thinking it was only going to be the Rams that moved to L.A., and the other option was to have the Chargers and the Raiders move there. And as has proven to be correct, L.A. will not support a team other than the Raiders. When you watch Rams or Chargers games, it's mostly people from the other team. The city of Los Angeles is not supporting two teams, and his concerns about them being able to support two, let alone two, wound up being great foresight on his part.
And finally, also in 2015, voted for Rams to move to L.A.
Again, this is Clark Hunt, falls into the concept of league think. So that's the meme that a lot of people are buying into, thinking that Clark Hunt had something to do with the Rams moving to L.A. Jerry Jones is the reason that the Rams moved to L.A. Eric Grubman, Roger Goodell, Jerry Jones. Clark Hunt had nothing to do with the Rams moving to L.A. And, oh, by the way, if he votes against the move of the Rams to L.A., then the vote is 29-3, and it still passes. Sure, Michael Bidwell and Jerry Richardson voted against the move. But the fact of the matter, and this is the fact of the matter, that it didn't matter if that vote was 6-0. If Clark Hunt would have voted to make it a 6-0 committee vote, Jerry Jones walked into that building that day in Houston, into that hotel, with the knowledge that he was going to steamroll the process and get the Rams to L.A. And he did, with the help of Goodell and, to an extent, Eric Grubman. So that, if you don't like Patrick Mahomes, fine, that's a good reason to hate the Chiefs. If you never liked him, if you thought the rivalry, if you don't like Kansas City, good reason. But to hate the Chiefs because you think Clark Hunt had anything at all to do with the Rams' move to L.A. or that he wanted to the St. Louis market is absolutely preposterous.
And I think that's the biggest, sorry, Dan, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is that you aren't saying, of course, everybody has their own opinions and choices with this, if you like the Chiefs or not, but more this is about you squashing the rumors that Hunt had anything to do with really the perception of this is why you shouldn't like the Chiefs because Hunt had a hand in a lot of the St. Louis Rams and their movement.
Yeah. Well, Clark Hunt didn't. That's the thing. Clark Hunt is one owner out of 32.
He certainly, though, has to like the fact that he's got this side of the state, I would say. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I wonder what he's getting out of it.
I think he's got some people traveling over there. And makes a small dent in what they do.
The thing is, they were selling out games, and they had a lot of St. Louis fans coming over there well before the Rams ever came to St. Louis. When they got Montana and when they had Schottenheimer and winning, there are a lot of season ticket holders that go over there. They didn't start buying season tickets after the Rams left because the Chiefs were already selling out on a season ticket basis.
Generally speaking, though, again, small dent, probably been good for business for them.
Very small. Because if they sell a jersey at Rally House, there's this thing called NFL properties. Every jersey that is sold, whether it's a Chiefs or a Dolphins or a Cowboys, well, not Cowboys because Jerry Jones opted out of NFL properties, but Chiefs, Raiders, Commanders, Cardinals, they all go into a pot, and all the money from every jersey and everything with an NFL logo on it goes into one pot and is split equally among 32 teams, and then the Cowboys stuff goes to Jerry Jones.
You were asking the question, do you dislike the Chiefs? Here's a general point of view, is that when you have success, people want to knock you down. I go back to the Spurs and their run, Cardinals, their run. St. Louis Cardinals, meaning the baseball team, and now what you're dealing with the Chiefs. I think fans, they want to put when you have that kind of success, it seems like people want to knock you down. And that's just generally.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's a fine reason. If you don't like the Chiefs and you don't like Duke basketball and you don't like Alabama football,
good one. Yep.
That's cool. That's a good reason. Hating the winner is fine. I'm just trying to find the right reason, and Clark Hunt is not the right reason to hate the Kansas City Chiefs in St. Louis. So there you have it. Coming up next on 101 ESPN, we've got our Rush Hour Reset. Hey, if you are in the market for new flooring in your home, you need to go to Ambassador Midwest Floor. They have 3 great locations in the St. Louis area. Find them on the web at ambassadorfloor.com. And it's really cool when you get new floors because other than your walls, your floors take up the most space in your home and they're very noticeable. How would new floors change the look of your home? You have to think about that. And since most people replace their floors every 7 to 10 years, do it right and visit Ambassador Midwest Floor. And here's one of the cool things about it. They have the largest selection, so you can choose from the latest floor styles. Pet-friendly, that's important. Stain-proof, important. Waterproof technology, important. Celebrate the new year with new floors. You can browse the finest collection of Shaw floors, hardwood, carpet, and luxury plank at Ambassador Midwest Floor, and save up to $500 on all Shaw floors during their new year, new floor sale. And they have a great team of installers, an employee team of over 100 master craftsmen certified in the latest flooring technology. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. Learn more at ambassadorfloor.com. It's 9:05 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. The Blues and the Blue Jackets tonight, pregame at 6 here on 101 ESPN. The action coming your way with Curbs and Joey at 7 o'clock. Brooke is here. Dan is here. I'm Randy. And there's stuff going on in the world of sports, including the fact that Robert Thomas is going to join us tomorrow before he heads out to the All-Star game in Toronto.
Is that our lead
Robert
sports
Thomas.
story? You called him Robert?
We're spinning it forward here.
So
we're going to carry the NHL All-Star game? I bet we do.
I think we should if we don't.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Sorry, Brooke. I probably interrupted you.
No, I was going to say we had that revelation earlier that we probably shouldn't be calling him Robbie Tommy, I guess.
I don't know for a fact. I just heard that maybe he doesn't like the Robbie Tommy. I don't know, Randy. I don't know, Brooke. I don't know for a fact. Just word on the street. And I'll leave it at that.
The streets are talking, huh?
Yeah.
The streets are talking. We'll call him, we'll do, instead of our Robbie Tommy, because we went through Bobby Tommy, clap, 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 and then we went to Robbie Tommy, clap, and now we do Robert Thomas.
Yeah, and then, it's just Robert Thomas.
Somebody said Matchbox 20 earlier.
Yeah,
Rob Thomas.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I've been banging the drum for Smooth for like 3 years, and it's just
not working.
People just don't understand how it works. It's the perfect nickname for him, and yit.
Did you guys see Dylan Brooks hit LeBron in the face last night?
Shocking. I couldn't believe that happened. So it was like Dylan Brooks is a malcontent.
Yeah. Didn't he get into it with LeBron during the playoffs last year?
That's what I'm saying.
So he's trying to show how tough he is. I don't think that's the best move if you're an NBA player, to be slamming LeBron James to the floor with a forearm to the face.
Can you imagine the NBA, those in New York, watching that game? No. You don't touch that guy.
Yeah.
There's certain guys you just don't touch.
Right.
He's one of them.
Yeah. And it was interesting. And by the way, he did suffer a little bit of comeuppance. But it was interesting, right when it happened, Brooks walked away and LeBron's laying on the floor and nobody does anything.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I just think in the competition to get physical, that's fine. But like what we saw last night, no. That's egregious. Shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And especially to your top players.
Yeah. And Jared Vanderbilt got some comeuppance and got thrown out of the game, but credit to him for standing up for his teammate.
I still love watching LeBron. I know the NBA is not huge in St. Louis. If you follow basketball, though, I love to follow basketball. Not as much as I was when SLU and Mizzou were doing well. So I kind of deviated to some of the games that I watch on TV. But when LeBron is on, I watch. He's 39 years old,
he's
still having
unbelievable.
an incredible season. Incredible season.
And he could be. I don't know if Bronny is going to make it now. Bronny's not even starting for USC. And earlier, LeBron said that Bronny could play for the Lakers. But I could easily see LeBron playing for 4 more years, right? Playing 20 minutes and 20 minutes, 20 points a game?
I think that that's highly likely. Now, with Bronny, though, do you guys think that he makes it to the league?
I think his dad will make sure he makes it to the league.
Yeah, I would say that's his best opportunity, and that'll put a lot of pressure on him. But if you can't start for USC in your freshman year, and USC isn't great, I think that's probably going to prevent you from being at least an NBA draft pick. Now, maybe you get picked up as a free agent, and you fly on dad's coattails for a little while.
Has there ever been a father-son combination in the NBA?
No. This is
Never.
the first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously, Major League Baseball has had that. No way that football has had that. So this would be the first in the NBA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
It is.
It is.
I think it'd be great to see.
Yeah. The Cardinals start spring training now in a couple of weeks, right on right the day before Valentine's Day is when everybody has to show up. And Moises Gomez, we hardly knew you.
Well, he's not technically gone yet. I mean, he could clear waivers and he could go unclaimed and the Cardinals bring him back. But anytime that you see that Moises Gomez, I think a lot of people get worried about it being a situation that we've seen play out before. But I feel like this is a little bit different here, right? Because with him, there wasn't a position for him. Now, he has hit 69 home runs in the past 2 seasons in the minors for the Cardinals, but it seemed like there wasn't a opportunity for him here. How do you guys feel about Alfonso Rivas? Is that how you say it? Rivas. How do you feel about him coming in?
I guess it gives you, and he's now on the 40-man roster, so they needed a clear space for that. I guess it gives you a veteran presence that if something would happen, he can play first base, he can play a few different positions, that if something happened, at least you'd have a major league talent that would come back to the major leagues. So it gives you depth. I don't anticipate him making the club, and he would give you more depth than anything with this team. And in terms of Gomez, if he wasn't going to make it up here with some of the numbers that he put up, it's not like Randy Arozarena or Dolis Garcia, I would doubt, is that other teams gave up on him. Even though he hit a lot of bombs, there's probably something that they see that would obviously make them not want to keep him. I mean, the coaching staff maybe saw something, gaps in his swing. It doesn't translate to Major League Baseball, but I was looking forward to seeing him getting a shot at some point, but it just didn't happen.
Probably his strikeout rate. That could be a big reason why. And I'm sure that the Cardinals tried to shop him around for possibly something, because I think that's the other part where people would say, well, why wouldn't you try to get something for him in return? And I'm sure they did try to shop him around a little bit.
Yeah, and it just wasn't there. Rivas, by the way, last 12 months. January 5th, 2023, released by the Cubs. January 11th, 2023, signed with the Padres. August 1st of 23, traded by the Padres to the Pirates in the deal for G-Man Choi and Rich Hill. November 2nd, 2023, selected off waivers by the Guardians from the Pirates. December 22nd, 2023, selected off waivers by the Angels from the Guardians. And then January 29th of 2024, selected by the Cardinals off waivers from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
It just gives you depth.
Yeah, it does. And you don't know how good Alec Burleson would be. Who is your backup? If Goldie would go down, who's your guy?
I think it's Burleson.
Yeah, but this guy, like you said, gives you some insurance. You can, and he can play a little bit in the outfield. But you have that guy sitting in Memphis to play first base for Memphis, and unless it's Luke and Baker down there. But it just does. It gives you a little bit of insurance. There's nothing wrong with that.
Burleson is blocked a little bit. You know, he's not a great outfielder. They want him to get in better shape. Apparently, he has done that. You're not going to play first base. But there's a lot of people that think in the organization, if this guy got a shot, he could really hit. Really hit. And much better than he's done already. So he's intriguing to me, Burleson.
Okay, earlier on in the show, we gave you our favorite players, and I just want to give them again. We gave you our favorite players that we would like the Cardinals to have gotten during the offseason. I said Aaron Nola. Brooke, your choice was?
I said Josh Hader.
That's a good one. And Danny Mack?
I went with just about every reliever that was out there. But I think my favorite was just signed by the Cubs, and that was Hector
Neris.
Yes.
The Cardinals have signed several players, not those players, but they have signed several players that they hope add to their leadership. And Oli Marmol talked about that with Xavier Scruggs. And we'll hear what Oli had to say about veteran leadership coming up on the opening drive with Brooke, Dan, and Randy on 101 ESPN. Hey, how you feeling today, guys? If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling a little bit stressed, if you're feeling like you just aren't as sharp as you want to be, and physically, if you're fatigued already, you need to get to Mentality, because Mentality knows why you're fatigued, why you're not as sharp mentally, why you're a little bit anxious, because our testosterone level drops as guys after the age of 30. And when your testosterone level drops, all those bad things pop up. And at Mentality, they have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will get you back in the game and feeling like you did when you were in your 20s. Every guy is going to have their testosterone level fall off. And at Mentality, they're going to bring you in. They're going to do a complete panel on your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is, and then they're going to prescribe that FDA-approved treatment. And it really does make a difference. You go in every week, you get your treatment, and you're out of there in just a few minutes. They have great doctors, great nurses to help you through the process, and it'll make a dramatic difference in your life. And they'll work with your insurance company to make sure that you have as little out-of-pocket expense as possible. Go to Mentality at lowtusa.com and get started today. What did you refer to the Cardinals' new pitchers as?
It was a compliment, Randy. It really was.
I know it was.
Season and experience.
Yeah, there you go.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's always a good thing, right?
Well, especially when you've got a guy in Kyle Gibson that has pitched for a World Series team 2 years ago and a team that won 102 games last year. He knows how to win. You've got a guy in Lance Lynn. We know how gritty and tough he is, and he's a winning pitcher. We know that. And Sonny Gray was second in the Cy Young voting, although he doesn't really have that winning pedigree in his history that the others have. He's been around, and then you bring in Matt Carpenter. So the Cardinals are working on their clubhouse leadership, and that's something that Xavier Scruggs in his interview with Oli Marmol asked about, was the new leadership in the Cardinal clubhouse.
How do you deal with a personality like Pujols? How do you deal with a personality like Yadier Molina and what those guys, where it may differ and what that communication looks like, especially with so much time in the game, too, with them?
They've earned a tremendous amount of respect, and you treat them that way because they've earned it.
Yeah.
Where you have issues arise, like when you haven't earned it and you're expecting it. Those guys have played the game.
You've had players like?
Those guys have played the game a certain way where, man, like they've earned every bit of that. So
they've earned every bit of that. Now, who do you think that he was thinking about when he kind of made that little joke about certain players?
Wanted to be a leader, but they didn't have the cachet? I don't know. Who do you think?
Tyler O'Neill, possibly. But it seemed like things have cleared up between them. But I think that it's a very good point where you do have to coach differently, and maybe the expectation is different. We were talking about this earlier about younger athletes now kind of have a different approach or a different expectation of their relationship with their coach or manager now. Wouldn't you guys agree with that?
No doubt.
That maybe we saw it happen with Craig Berube and even with Drew Bannister. I've said it time and time again. I don't think the message is any different between Craig Berube and Drew Bannister of what they were looking for in their players and what they're trying to get out of them. It's just a different messenger and a different style of message for those younger players where they can relate to it better.
I think you handle superstars differently.
Yeah, you do.
They've earned it. I think you handled Pujols perfectly. Albert was pretty close to calling it quits in the middle of the season.
Right, the All-Star break,
Yeah, and it was Oli that convinced him to stick around, and he did it in a way that was private, and he did it in a way that he said to him, paraphrasing here, but you mean so much more to this organization and the game besides what you're doing on the field. And so he decided to come back, and then the rest is history. He was awesome. I thought how he handled Molina in his final season was great. Making sure he was on the Wainwright starts, set the all-time record, listen to him, listen to how he handles the clubhouse. That was important. Yep. That was really important. I just think that you handle superstars a little bit differently. As long as the effort is there, than maybe some other players that haven't garnered that type of attention before.
And Dan, with those guys and with these new guys, and we've watched a lot of managers don't spend time in the clubhouse. So good or bad leadership is going to come to the fore from the players. Yeah. Tony wasn't around the clubhouse. He was in his office. He wasn't in the clubhouse all the time. He'd walk through now and then. But the best, I don't think any manager is in the clubhouse all the time. It's the players that have to take it upon themselves. And when you do have players that are trying to lead in the wrong way, in a non-winning way, that's when you have issues. And one of the things that we know about Gibson, Lynn, and Marp has played on winning teams, is that they know how to lead in a winning way.
Marp was on the 2011 team.
Yeah,
people forget that.
He's got Lynn. What are you doing here?
He's got a World Series ring.
Right.
So those two guys have done that. 2013 obviously was a big year, and Marp was awesome in that 5 to 7 year stretch. I think they do have veterans. I think they've got guys that'll clean up the clubhouse. And to your point, Randy, it's policed by the players.
Yeah.
And you have to have certain leaders that step up. Now, if it's going to be Nolan Arenado, will be Paul Goldschmidt. To the point that you just made, those players that you just mentioned, there's guys that gravitate towards the pitchers, those that do that, and there's guys that are position players that gravitate towards them. There's everyday players that have to make sure they step up and lead by example, but also sometimes put your arm around them or give them some tough love along the way.
And I could see a guy, maybe not this year, but a guy like Jordan Walker ascending to that level because he's just got such a magnetic personality. He can be a face of the franchise guy, but
not for me yet.
No, not yet. But he could, and that's where having a guy like Matt Carpenter around, if he observes a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, it can really benefit him. He can become that guy.
Another player, Brendan Donovan. Brendan Donovan is very well respected in that clubhouse, even by Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. And I say even by because obviously his performance, but the way that he also uses his voice. He talked about this during winter warm-up that he is going to even step up even more so as a veteran leader. Jordan Walker, you were talking about, he talked about how Brendan Donovan has helped him so much and has actually been almost like another hitting coach for him. So I think Donovan is another emerging leader there. Now, when we talk about all this veteran presence being added and getting the clubhouse back in control of that, a lot of people then look to why weren't Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado those guys last season? Is that a knock on them?
I think it's a knock on Arenado a little bit. I think there was some frustration with him, and it was kind of pointed to Goldschmidt having to carry the weight of this stuff. And so Arenado's got to be more of a leader this year, I would think. I think Goldie will be more of a leader this year, more so than even he already has been. And I look at like Walker, Donovan, maybe even Tommy Edman, depending on how long he stays here. That's the next wave of leaders of this team. That's how I look at it.
And it is a big deal. People might be saying, why are you talking about this? It's just go out and play ball. Leadership is a big deal. Connectivity is a big deal. Caring about each other is a big deal. And every great team I've ever been around in any sport has really good leadership.
And there's teams that don't get along, but they still have leaders.
Yep.
And here's the it comes down to winning. If you win, you don't hear about, well, this guy wasn't a leader and this guy needs to take more of a responsibility and this guy needs to help out the pitching staff. When you win, you don't hear about it.
But does winning breed chemistry or does chemistry breed winning? I tend to lean towards the latter, that if you have good people, if you collect good people and build chemistry, you have a much better chance of winning if they can play.
You were talking about the manager not going in the clubhouse, and that's true. You know, manager stays out. He's in his office for the most part. We'll bring a player out to have a personal conversation with him. And a lot of times it's the bench coach that goes in there or a coach to try to help out. Now, they don't spend a lot of time in there, but they're the conduit between the player and the manager. So you're right. You know, to your point, the manager isn't there a bunch. He does lead with his decisions. He's the final ultimate say in what you do strategically in the game with a lot of info behind it and maybe some info from the guy sitting to his right, which is your bench coach. So there are leaders with the coaching staff, too, that have to step up and help out as well.
And winning really is the cure-all. It can cure anything that you have going on, but I do believe that chemistry is a big part of that. And obviously the Cardinals believe that as well based off of what they've done this offseason.
Well, when the Blues were struggling in 2018 before they turned it around, there was a key player that asked for a trade, wanted out of here in the worst way, and Berube talked him into staying. There was another player that just didn't want anything to do with the team anymore, didn't want to really listen to Mike Yeo, and Berube was able to subjugate his ego. So, yeah, sometimes those problems can be fixed, too, and winning, as you mentioned, Brooke, solves everything.
Egos, man. There's a lot of them in sports. And I think it's harder now than ever in sports to manage, to coach, because the money, the money of a player is making sometimes 20 times more, if not more than that, than the manager. And so where's your power going to be? They can't get rid of the player. You can get rid of the manager. You can get rid of the coach. That happens all the time.
That's why Craig Berube isn't the coach of the Blues anymore, isn't it?
Part of it.
Yep.
Part of it, yeah.
That's Brooke. That's Dan. I'm Randy. Coming up, it is the 24-year anniversary of the Rams winning Super Bowl 34. And the man who made the tackle, Mike Jones, joins us next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, we've got a little bit more cold weather coming up, and you need to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers Heating and Cooling. They are a Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning dealer, and they do great work. Whether it is your furnace or your air conditioner, they're magnificent. And if you join their club and make sure that everything is protected, they're going to actually remind you when you need to have your furnace and your air conditioner serviced. And with the holidays behind us, were there any outlets or lighting issues that you experienced that you need to get fixed? Well, at Hoffman Brothers, they're offering 5% off lighting upgrades, and your Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning dealer is going to help you through the entire process. Maybe you've been putting off installing that ceiling fan in your bedroom or upgrading your foyer or kitchen lights. Now's the time to schedule it with Hoffman Brothers. And by the way, they're hiring HVAC professionals. Just some of the very generous benefits Hoffman Brothers offers: free health, dental, and vision insurance available to you and your family, top pay in the industry, a great work and family life balance, and paid vacation up to 20 days. Go to Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com, and come to work for Hoffman Brothers. They are sensational, and they are your Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning dealer.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues back in action tonight, facing off against the Blue Jackets at Enterprise Center, 7 p.m. puck drop. Catch the pregame show right here on 101 ESPN with Alex and Joey starting at 6 p.m. And there has been some breaking news in Major League Baseball today, a little bit, as the Blue Jays have signed Justin Turner to a one-year deal. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
So it all comes down to this. 6 seconds to play in Super Bowl 34.
What do you call it on defense?
1-3-77 blast.
It has never happened in Super Bowl history for a team to score on the last play of regulation.
First and goal to go. Rams 23, Titans 16.
All right, guys. Last play of the game.
McNair will work out of the shotgun.
McNair drops, throws right side for Dyson. It is caught by Dyson. Can he get in? No, he cannot.
Didn't make it. Didn't make it.
Time runs out. That's it.
That's it. We won it.
St. Louis, the gateway to the West, is now the gateway to the best football team in the world.
That was 24 years ago tonight. Our friend Mike Bush had the call, and our friend Mike Jones made the tackle. And here we are on January 30th, 2024. And with Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin, I'm Randy Carricker, joined by the man who made the tackle, the great Mike Jones. Michael, good to have you with us. Good morning. How you doing?
Good, Randy. How you doing?
Good. You ever get tired of hearing that?
Never.
It's pretty amazing. And I want to go, because I remember hearing that day, like when Coach Vermeil was riding over to the stadium, he was calling all of his old friends from Philly and stuff. What did you do the day of the Super Bowl? How did you prepare for the game that day?
You know what? It's funny you asked that because we played late. We was on the East Coast, so you get up and eat breakfast. Well, first of all, you can't sleep the night before. So then when you finally go to sleep, you have breakfast and you have your meetings. And then it's a big lull between the time you eat and then eat pregame meal. So you're talking, 2-3 hours. So you try and take a nap. You just ready to play. So and it's hard when you're used to playing at noon, and then you're playing the evening game or the most important game of your life. So, I just sat around the hotel, sat in my room, and, just try to get ready to play a game.
Just walk us through what that fourth quarter was like. How exhausting was it? Because Steve McNair was just running all over the place.
Well, you know what? The fourth quarter, what made it so hard, we was always a quick strike offense. So we knew we could score at any time, so we knew we had to be ready. The thing was, you're so hyped up. You had so much energy put into that game. You burning energy you probably didn't think you were using before. And, Steve was doing things he was doing. I mean, he was running around, scrambling. And what also took a lot out of us was they were running the ball. They were getting out this little bit running the football. We were thinking we're up, almost 16 points. We were up 16 points, and we're thinking, okay, they're going to throw the ball. And we were on our heels because we kept thinking they were going to throw the ball. And they just kept coming downhill, and then they run play action pass. And, so it was a lot of different things that they did that was unconventional for a team down by 3 scores. So, and then, we got a couple quick 3-and-outs or short offensive periods. So it was tiring, and they were playing physical. They were trying to get after it. So there's a lot of different things playing into that. So we were exhausted, no doubt about that.
Mike, is there a day that goes by that somebody doesn't tell you, I remember where I was, or thank you for the tackle, or could you tell me about the play? Is there a day that goes by where someone around town doesn't bring that up with you?
It's funny because when you can see guys, I think I told this story before, when my daughters were younger, and because they're adults now, and even sometimes in the day, we'll be somewhere and then they'll say, Dad, somebody's looking at you. And I'll look up and I'll just smile and he's like, what? I was like, he'll come over and say something to me like, are you Mike Jones? Like, yeah. And then, oh man, that was awesome. So, it's more so when I'm with my daughters, when someone says something more so than when I'm by myself.
What's amazing is that there were 1 million people now at that game. We've actually done the research. 1 million people say, I was there. So thank you for that moment on behalf of everybody in St. Louis. That's for sure.
No problem. You know what? And it's so funny because after the game, as you guys know, we had that ice storm. But my family, we rented them a bus. And I had my brothers. It's 8. I have 8 siblings. And then all of them have kids, so it's probably almost 40 people on a bus and driving back through Nashville. They got on that Super Bowl champions, and the bus is getting the eggs and all that. So it was kind of funny, that part of it, but it was a great experience.
Mike Jones made the tackle 24 years ago tonight in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. Mike, think about that time since, and you played for a lot of teams. You played for the Raiders, you played at Mizzou, you played obviously here, went on and played for the Steelers as well. Is there any connection, though, like you have with that championship group?
Oh, absolutely. We have a Zoom meeting tonight. We're getting ready for a 25th anniversary. Because technically, I guess about April 1 is when the new year starts for the NFL, and we'll be starting to celebrate our 25th anniversary. So we'll talk. I talked to Ray Agnew, of course. We thought they had a chance to get back, and unfortunately they didn't get in. And I'll shoot Kurt. I talked to Isaac a little more than often, and then Torrey and London. And so we talked to a lot of guys, and we communicate and stay in contact with each other.
How much of a bummer is it that you won't be able to have the 25th anniversary with your team in the town that you won it for?
Well, we're going to do something in St. Louis, so that's going to happen. So I mean, we were the first team to win a Super Bowl for the Rams, and we were St. Louis Rams. So we're always going to represent and make sure people in St. Louis know how much we appreciate them and the support that they have. And it may not set well with the Rams organization in L.A., but it is what it is, and I hate to say it, they'll get over.
I like that a lot. I think a lot of people do here, too. Now, I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned Torrey Holt. He's a finalist once again for the Hall of Fame. Do you think that he makes it this year?
I think he has a great shot. And I'm going to tell you someone else I think in a couple of years going to get is London Fletcher. I think that Torrey, the first guy that deserves to be in. It's ironic that 3 guys go on the ballot in the finalists last year that were receivers, and none of them got in. So I'm hoping that Torrey gets in this year. I think Torrey, as well as Torrey and all the rest of the teammates. So, it'd be phenomenal for him to be able to get in this year and celebrate, this August. For all of us, 25th anniversary, have another guy going to the Hall of Fame.
Mike, what keeps you busy day to day? What are you up to these days?
Well, you know what? We have we're doing electrical vehicle charging stations throughout the state of Missouri. So we're on that end, and then I got a not brand new, but I got a granddaughter that's 2.5 years old, and I got a grandson coming here sometime in April or May. So between the grandkids and it's crazy to sound, I'm saying grandkids, but between those, my family, and running a business, it's great. We're still involved in we go to Mizzou, see Mizzou play, and get an opportunity. We've been to the Rams game a couple times, and we saw what they should have did a long time ago. They finally honored Coach Marmol out there, so we went out there to see him, and we do a lot of things with the Rams and a lot of things, in the community. We still work with the Demetrius Johnson Foundation. His camp's coming up. So there's a lot of things we're doing and we're excited about, and hope that everyone can involved in it.
And Mike and I had the great good fortune of having the opportunity to watch our daughters grow up. Yep. they danced. Your 2 girls are doing good?
They're doing great. I'm gonna use that term dance with them loosely, because it wasn't really a dance. We were moving side to side.
You were better than I was, my man.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, Mike, thanks so much for obviously bringing us that Super Bowl win, but all you've done for the community over the years. And you are a great St. Louisan, and we really do appreciate the time. And this is a great celebration. And as we head towards the 25th anniversary next year, you always have an open invitation here. You know that, to talk about what you guys are going to do.
Absolutely. We look forward to it. Like I said, we'll be in contact with you very soon, because, again, with all this stuff, it's going to be a year-long celebration. You don't get it. I mean, we're the only team that won the Super Bowl in St. Louis, the St. Louis Rams. We're going to represent St. Louis and the St. Louis Rams.
All right, Michael, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
See you. That's Mike Jones, who made the tackle, joining us on the opening drive.
About 2 months ago, I emceed the Isaac Bruce Foundation dinner. Warren Sapp and Isaac were on stage. I got to moderate a conversation, but I introduced certain St. Louis Rams that were in attendance. He was there, and the ovation that Mike Jones still gets is enormous. Yep. I mean, people really respect him for what he's done with the tackle on the field, but off the field, too.
And he was the first free agent that Dick Vermeil brought in. The foundation started when the Rams signed Mike Jones to his contract in '97.
I don't think we'll ever see a team like that ever again, honestly.
I don't think London Fletcher gets enough credit for he was awesome.
Yeah.
He was awesome in St. Louis. As we've heard before, they should not have let him go, and they should have kept him here. And he's just, his career after St. Louis was incredible, too.
He was fantastic. And he's one of the all-time great middle linebackers, both for Buffalo and Washington. He's actually the Washington radio analyst now.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, yeah, he is... For anybody that watched him play, and unfortunately for him, he played at the same time that Brian Urlacher and Ray Lewis played. But he was every bit as good as those guys.
Yeah, doesn't get the recognition he probably should.
No. That is Michael Jones. Today, the anniversary of the Rams winning Super Bowl 34 down in Atlanta. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN.
end roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
It is time for Rock and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Matthew, what do you got for us?
Well, we mentioned Kadarius Toney yesterday on the show, and how his future with the Chiefs might be in a little bit questionable because he went on an expletive-filled rant where he said that the injuries that the Chiefs were claiming for him were not real. Well, Andy Reid was on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City yesterday.
Probably with Bob Fesco.
He was asked. I don't think this is Fesco. I think this is somebody else.
Okay.
He was asked about. He was asked about the Toney situation.
That he was saying he was not hurt. Can you expand upon what his situation is a little more, Coach?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he's been on the injury report, so I mean, I got that part as that's not made up by any means, but he's been working through some things, and he'll be back out there.
Yeah, sounds like that. Sounds like he's going to be back out there anytime soon, Andy.
Will he be back out there? I think the only man that can stop Patrick Mahomes right now could be his own teammate, and Toney.
Well, here's the thing, though. With him, they also said, in addition to the injuries, personal. And when you look at a situation like Chandler Jones had with the Raiders, the mental issues that athletes are going through now, you hope that Kadarius Toney isn't Antonio Brown, that Kadarius Toney isn't running into some of that.
Who is the Raiders, Bucks, the center that the night before? Barrett Robbins, yeah. Had mental issues, and that's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's real.
So
Now, I will say that reportedly he did have a baby, and that was the personal reason there.
Okay.
But he didn't mention that in his live, which I thought was kind of weird.
That doesn't change whether or not you're injured or not.
No, but because it said on the report, it said personal/injury, and so the personal side was reportedly about him having a baby recently.
Yeah. So maybe it's the injury is questionable, bad hands.
Ooh.
That would be it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it when Greg Popovich put on the whatever it was
DNP.
Did not play, and he said old.
Yeah, that was fun. That was great.
I'm just going to say that management of your roster makes a lot more sense when they're 38 years old and have won, 4 championships than when they're 27 and they're like a 3-time All-Star, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I wonder if, with Toney saying he's not hurt and Coach saying he was, but he would be back out there, I wonder if he will practice at all as they approach the Super Bowl. They start practicing in tomorrow.
I think he would for sure.
You'd think so?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, now, will he play? Probably not. But if he says he's not hurt, and they say, well, okay, then come on out and practice, then he's got to, right?
How good has Rashee Rice turned into here this stretch run? Boy, has he been good. You forget about everybody else.
Brooke drafted him. You drafted him, right?
That was a great pickup for me.
Yeah, in our fantasy football league, before everything started, she picked Rashee Rice.
I might have known something.
Smart move.
I really didn't. I just got really lucky, and it worked out.
Yeah.
Because Jamar Chase didn't exactly work out for me, so it's kind of a give and take there.
Yeah, and they could use another guy at some point, and Sky Moore hasn't worked out. He was a high pick. They thought that they were going to get something out of Toney. MVS is a free agent after this year, so they're going to have to go get a couple of receivers, whether it's through the draft or in free agency this year.
Well, based on that call by Brooke, I think I'd rather have her running the lines. But here's Dan Campbell explaining his decision to run the ball on 3rd and 1 down at the goal line.
Yeah, look, it's the easy thing to do is to throw it. Probably should have been the right thing. But for me, I wanted to run it. I thought we would just pop it. We had just 2-minute all the way down the field throwing the football, and they were in a 4-down front, and I believe we'd walk right in. And we missed a block. And so then, I got to use a timeout. So hindsight, throw it 4 times. But I believed in that moment it was going to be a walk and run. And it didn't work out. So I gambled and lost.
Oh.
That's
Dan Gamble.
Dan Gamble.
Oh, pop back up.
Yep.
That was definitely one of the miscues. Look, he's sticking by his decisions, and I think that he explained it well. It's kind of the same situation where he's explaining 4th down, his decisions with that. So he's sticking by it. It's just another gamble that didn't pay off.
It's legitimate to say, okay, why didn't you kick it here and you don't kick it here? Randy and I were texting during the game. You remember that, Randy? And I just said, when I'm on the road, I take the points. And I could have made it a 3-possession game. And it's not to say that that was a given. They weren't chip shots. They weren't. No. But in the NFL, you think that these guys are going to make that. And I don't know, man. I take the points and I'm on the road. Keep applying the pressure.
And I asked Brooke yesterday, and Dan, you're a veteran football watcher. Could you imagine Bill Parcells going for those 4th downs and not kicking the field goals? Could you imagine Joe Gibbs not taking the points? Can you imagine? You just can't leave. And I know analytics have changed the game, but you can't leave points on the field. Todd Bowles did last week when he went for 2 rather than kicking the extra point. You just can't leave points, easy points on the field.
And I respect the fact that he played this way all year. I really do. But I just think you have to use to me, it was common sense. I'm on the road. Don't overthink it. I'm taking the points. Make it a 3-possession, and that's where I'm going.
With you 100%.
I agree. You have to take the points there. Now, and that's the thing is, the other counter argument to that is, well, it worked for him all season. Why would he do anything different during the postseason?
Sure.
Because he's playing a really good team on the road with a really good defense.
And they all are a different animal.
Yeah, it is. And it's picking up a 4th and 2 at San Francisco in the playoffs is a little bit different than picking up a 4th and 2 at home against the Bears.
Yep. It's not week 2. This is going to the Super Bowl. Take the points on the road.
You can make a lot of arguments for a lot of the decisions he made. I just this one bothers me the most. And him saying that, well, hindsight, you can look at it, and I really thought we had a good chance just to walk in. I just think he's just ignoring the obvious parts here, which is hindsight, that's not a bad move. Like, in the moment, everyone in America thought that was a bad move. And if you would have walked in, it would have still been a bad call because of the chance that you get stopped and the clock keeps rolling. Or you got to use a timeout.
Right ahead, Randall. We have more rock and roll.
The only other thing I had was I was just going to mention again what Randy mentioned at the very top of the show, which is Joakim Nielsen and Edward Leuven are going to miss the next week of training camp. They're going to go get their green cards.
They're getting their HSA today for the benefits.
No, it's so that they can work in the country and so their family can work in the country. And also the big thing is that it frees up international spots. In MLS, you're only allowed to have 8 of them. MLS had to buy a 9th international spot, and this will free up 2 international spots that will then allow them to potentially sign their first-round pick, potentially sign another player. So there's reasons other than just better living for Leuven and Nielsen and their families. This is actually a tactical move for the roster building on the MLS side.
So do they get HSA cards?
I mean, I think their health insurance is through the team, I'm guessing.
Okay, well, that's okay, good.
I don't think you need
I'm very curious. What is the process to get a green card?
So here's the thing. So you ask for when you do fill out your benefit thing.
No. I'm talking about seriously
actual
the process.
Oh, okay.
You have to take a test, right?
You do have to take a test, and then you wait 6 months? Ask Jamie Rivers, and then you get a green card.
Do you think we could pass that test?
No, we'd have to study. There's no chance that we could pass that test.
You don't think so, Randall?
No, it's a constitutional
pretty
test.
American.
I didn't even go to history class in school.
Ooh.
You didn't go to any class.
I did some. I did.
How hard do you think the
go?
test is, though, Randy? They're not actually which state has a bicameral legislature instead of a unicameral legislature. They're not asking that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the answer is Nebraska, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Danny, I went to marketing class. I went to accounting class, although I got there late. Let's see. What else? I don't know. I went to some classes. It's good.
Yeah. You brought in your report card that one day.
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
But
that was nasty.
They got me through. They graduated me.
Yes.
So another Parkway North success story.
I go back to Dan Campbell for a moment.
Yes.
I think you do, Coach, when you're on a team that was awful 2 years ago, okay last year, one game above 500. If you're in week 2, week 3, week 4, you're showing we're going to win, we're going to be aggressive, and we're going to have a winning culture. You did do that, and you got to the playoffs. I'm not saying that you shake everything up, but I just think you take the points on the road.
Yeah, and
it's two different scenarios.
You're allowed to change philosophically a little bit once you get to that point.
That's my point.
And you should. Yeah. It's the flow of the situation, right? Because you wouldn't coach the same as you did in week 6 as you would during the postseason.
Exactly. And Andy Reid is not going to coach any differently, and Kyle Shanahan's not going to coach. Well, Kyle Shanahan probably does need to coach a little bit differently than he has in the Super Bowl before.
So the Chiefs have opened up as, a 2.5-point favorite?
Yeah.
No, the 49ers.
San Francisco.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, San Francisco.
Yeah.
man, I've gone against the Chiefs. I don't know if I can do it again.
I would not. I would not bet against Patrick Mahomes. It's the old sports line: never underestimate the heart of a champion, and they have the heart of a champion. And they're, aside from losing the defensive end, they're actually, I think, going to be a little bit more healthy. They'll get Willie Gay back for this game.
Do they also have the eye of the tiger?
Yes, and the thrill of the fight, yeah.
By the way, Patrick Mahomes has played 17 postseason games, so essentially another full season in the playoffs. He's 14-3, 4,800 passing yards, 39 touchdowns, 5 rushing, 39 passing, only 7 INTs in the 17 postseason games.
And you don't play bad teams in the postseason.
No.
That's pretty impressive. That's really good.
It's amped up a little bit, the intensity.
Yeah. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocc. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Danny.
Always.
Good to have you with us.
Oh, great to be here.
A little fist bump. We thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show for all of us. Until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Taco Tuesday, everyone.
That's right.
Can't get enough of daily fantasy? Well, there's a new game in Missouri thanks to our friends at Underdog Fantasy called Pick'em Champions. You just make an entry for Pick'em Champions so easily. You pick 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stats, and once your entry is ready, you're just entered in alongside other underdogs. My favorite part about this is that I can combine different sports across just one entry. Tonight when I'm watching the Blues game, I can add Braden Shen higher than 0.5 points, or even Robert Thomas higher than 0.5 assists, and I can combine that with some other NBA entries as well, and I can put it all into one to try to win some money. Underdog is super easy to play, and it's even easier to get started. Go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with the promo code ROCC-ROCK, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a special pick of higher than 0.5 total yards to use on your first pick'em entry. That's going to be free money on your big game entries in a couple weeks. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC, to get your first deposit of $10 more up to $100, doubled, plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.